spend some time with the dead.
On demand almost. We'd be like, hey, can you like touch the duck or make it go off? And it would just start lighting up and going crazy.
Why should we be afraid of you? Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump Tonight. I'm your host, Riley Clark, and alongside me, as always, is
Trev Jensen.
And tonight, our special guests are the Great Lakes Spirit Seekers.
Ow, ow. Ow, ow, ow. You gotta get the howl in there. I feel like that is now an official like, staple.
It's trademark.
Yeah, it's a staple. So, I know we were speaking a little bit before this, but how long has your guys' group been investigating together? This group in particular.
3 years in May.
3 years in May. And how many times have you guys gone investigating in those 3 years, would you say?
A lot.
A lot. I love that.
I would say
Is it like an every weekend thing kind of for you guys?
No.
Not
no,
nearly as
it go-
that
they
crazy.
seem to cluster. We'll get them like all in
Yeah.
a row, and then we'll have a stretch of time where we're kind of not as busy. I would
seems to be
say,
the best way to do it.
yeah, it always seems like everything happens all at once. It's like, whoa. Public investigations where we've gone to a known public place and investigated, I would say we've probably done 20, 30 locations. And private residents, I wouldn't even know at this point how many we've done.
A lot, tons.
I can't. There's too many times. I love that though. Like that's pretty good work for just the 3 years that you guys have been together. Which obviously, I'm assuming everybody that has been into the paranormal pretty much their whole lives, correct?
Interested in at least, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we start and just go in a circle? Like, what was your guys' first experience?
We'll start with Candi.
Here we go.
We'll come in with the hard hitters every time.
I started about 8 years ago with my husband. We went to Paracon. I just started watching the TV shows. Like, I never really had any paranormal experiences and stuff. I just thought it was cool. And my husband and I went to Paracon, met a couple people up there, thought it was cool. So we went on an investigation, bought some equipment, and started.
Yeah, never looked back.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
I always say it's literally like doing heroin. Where it's like
right, exactly.
Yep. Like, God damn it.
Yeah,
I can't stop.
Exactly. That's about it.
And Sarah, how did you get into the paranormal? I see that you got medium down there. Is that kind of part of it?
It started with me being like intuitive from a very young age, and then really getting into anything like paranormal, supernatural. Like, started off with like UFOs and aliens, and then kind of delved into like different things from there. And then having some pretty intense experiences with family members coming to visit me, to where it was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore as much as I did, because I was afraid at first. It got to the point where I was like, all right, you can't ignore this anymore.
Were you skeptical, like, before you had any idea really that you were that susceptible, say, to spirits or the other side?
I always like proof and science. I'm a biology major. Science is like my background. So there always has to be some sort of, factual evidence to it. That's why I like what we do, because we try to, go into an investigation with some sort of, we're trying to like prove the existence at that point. You know what I mean? And make it more.
Yeah, coming from the grounded standpoint is definitely like, I feel like that's the best way to do it. Because if you go somewhere and you're like, there's demons here because I heard demons were here.
No.
Like, let's take a step back and then let's look at some of the facts and what the history says. And it's like, okay, now I have a better understanding and I feel a lot more comfortable with actually stating something.
Right. But then I have like the other aspect where like, I have the intuitive side where things don't always make 100% sense right away, and then they kind of,
But then it's almost like that board like with all the yarn where it's like, wait a minute, like
yeah.
like this name is actually part of his family, which he said his family lived here. Where it's like, wait, like how the fuck does that make sense? Like
Yep.
it doesn't. It
Right.
literally is a fact that there isn't a spirit residing in that residence or wherever it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honest to God, I think me and Riley, like, we might be like sensitive in a way, or like more empathic. That's what I was looking for. Then like medium wise, because it's like I don't see things, but like we'll go to places all the time, and it's like you can feel it
Oh,
like change in the night, 100%.
that's how it starts. Is everybody has intuition, and it's just
Mhm.
trusting it a lot of times, because you're always going to second guess yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But finding trust in like the gut feelings that you get is kind of how I got to where I am.
Yeah, gut feelings will tell you the truth. That's literally how I feel like people should live by, where it's like your head will lead you down wrong paths because your brain will make like hallucinogens when you sleep. Like I don't know if I believe everything it's telling me.
Yeah.
I have a question about that later, but Sondra, what was the start for your paranormal journey?
I was always interested in anything that other people would consider weird or different or supernatural. And I didn't have any definable experience, I would say, until I was working at a bar. It's no longer in Muskegon, but I came out of the waitress station and there was a person standing there. I turned back to put something down. He was gone. And it was 15 seconds.
Man.
He didn't go through anywhere. Later on, talking to employees, I was describing the person and someone brought a picture and said, was it him?
Oh,
Total,
wow.
like
my
head to toe that person.
Chill.
Turned out he was a former employee who had died walking to work.
Ooh, I just got the chills.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
And my
incredible.
husband
I'm
actually
saying.
got his job. Like when he passed, my husband was the person who
Wow.
replaced him.
Whoa.
And like we both had experiences that we never shared with each other. And we kind of started
Yeah.
sharing them over time, and it kind of came out who this person was. So that was
Yeah, and
when
you're kind
I
of
was
like,
like,
wait a minute, don't tell me that. Like, you can't be telling me that because that is exactly what I have to say.
Yeah. I kept seeing him like look behind him in the same spot, and I was doing the same thing. And I found like, what are you looking at?
Oh wow.
And he's like, I thought I saw someone over there. Okay.
It's like, wait, pucker
It's
moment.
different. Very different.
Okay, gotta tell you something.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Then we
I
ended
love
up having many experiences there. The radios would go on by themselves when they remodeled it. People left working there during the remodel because the tools were being moved. They'd fall over their toolbox.
Wow.
It was, I wish it was still there.
that. This is our own home little town too.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. That's so cool. That is so
Definitely.
cool.
I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat
Woo woo.
going crazy. Dweebs, Patricia, G,
Paranormal
thank you,
search, my
Paranormal
boy.
Search. Thank you everyone for jumping in. If you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe.
And check out
'cause
Everbuzz's
we're
channels.
trying to
that are
reach
there, too.
500 subscribers by the end of the year.
I hope we can.
That would be awesome. But what's your favorite device to use on an investigation?
You read my mind. Literally.
Spirit box.
Probably Spirit
Yeah,
Box.
I do love it.
That's been my favorite lately.
Mhm.
I like the
It's just
dowsing
something
rods.
We don't use dowsing rods
See.
only because I don't own any. But like they're
We have
interesting
used them.
though. Because I really do think they work. It's just like it's all about perception too, though. Because some people
They're
look at it and be
subjective.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and people would be like, you are 100% moving those with your thumbs. And it's like like I don't know. Like it's one of those things where it's like I can't tell you I am because like physically I'm not trying to if I am, but subconsciously maybe I am. Who knows?
We've used more than one set before with people on opposite sides of the rooms facing away from each other to see if the answers are the same
And
to
they
the
end up the
questions to
same
try
way.
to counteract them and see how that
I
goes.
love that. So that's what we like to do too. Is like if we get say confirmations in like 2 different or 3 different devices,
We
it's
like
like
the rule
yeah,
of 3. That's kind of like this little theory we came up with. Like if we can get a response at either relatively at the same time or all like conglomerate, like it just makes the evidence that more like
legitimized at that point.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, like, why else would an EMF detector go off with a REM pod
And then the spirit box,
the
yeah.
spirit box says something, or like we like using Spirit Talker app a lot, and why would
It's
all
truth.
these things line up? Like,
Yeah, and if you guys don't know what Spirit Talker app is, Spotted Ghost is the creator of it, and he has his own channel that he breaks down how the app works and whatnot. And it is super fascinating because it's like if you guys have ever used an Ovilus or seen them in use, it's literally that for $5 because your phone has actually got way more sensors than an Ovilus. So it's like some of the apps are poopy, but like that one Spirit Talker and specifically that one is very, very, very credible and very useful to use.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, so full plug.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have him on so
Yeah,
we can
right.
like really dive into it some more. But yeah, recently I just watched a video where he's like, let's break down how the app works and the brain to it. And it's like, yeah, there's no reason why I should be getting people's names, like Ludwig in particular is like just a name I'll throw out there where it's like that's a very old name. There's no reason why it should pertain to the location I'm in, to the actual history of the place, and the name is correct too. Like there's no reason for that.
It's true.
So I don't know,
That's
apps are fun.
They are.
But there's something about that spirit box where you hear that like right in between the first like to the next one, and you hear that like that voice pick up in there. It's like there's something there. Like I
Mhm.
cannot definitively say that it's not there because it is.
Yep.
Mhm.
Especially when it's a voice over multiple like waves
Mm.
of, radio. Like
Do
Cycling
you guys
through,
ever
yeah.
get the skeptics that are like, well, that can't be right, it's just the radio, but you get literally like 3 words or 4 words come through and it's like it's switching the radio stations. Even if it was a radio
Like, it's
wave,
going
you
through,
wouldn't
like,
get it
what?
over 4 stations.
5 stations a
Mhm.
second,
Mhm.
maybe probably more than that, honestly. But like, how are you gonna get the same voice on that many stations at the same exact time? Like that doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
That's why that's the only thing that skeptics have ever really like approached me as,
Yeah.
like where it's like, well, how do you say that this is credible? And it's like, well, explain that one. And it's like, no, nobody have I asked yet has been able to. And it's like, cool, we're good there then.
Yeah. And like doing the SD's method too. If you
Mhm.
tried that
Yeah.
method, fantastic. And it's like way
Yes.
more in like
It's
I don't know how to explain it. It's like almost like
overwhelming.
trances you a little bit
Yeah.
to where you
It's a
just like
sensory
totally
experience
focus on that.
almost.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
It
exactly.
definitely is. Even if you don't
Yeah.
wear blindfolds, like you just like go somewhere else. Like you don't
Yep.
remember what you say. Like, geez, wife said this really good last week.
It's
Like,
probably the closest to meditation I've ever been. As weird as it is, where it's like, wow, that's very obscure to like find a meditative state while you're trying to listen to like spirits. But like,
Mhm.
I don't know, like I'll close my eyes when I hear that white noise and I'm listening to the voices come through, and it's like I'll start picturing places and like see scenes that I've never been to, and it's like
Hypnotic.
imagination is real, but yeah, but like, is this like almost like the imagination like showing me what like the rendition of what it's trying to say is? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't.
I'd say if you're getting visions at that point, I'd pay attention to that.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
the second to most recent one we did, I was doing the Estes method, and I was getting like these visions of like this old farmhouse with like this wraparound porch, and I mean, it was on a farmstead that I did know that we were on a farmstead, but I was like, it's really weird that I'm like picturing this like so vividly, because it's like I've really only been to a few like old country homes like that, and it's like didn't look like that I was picturing. So I don't know. It was really odd.
I'd say you're probably picking up on maybe somebody else's memory at that point.
Yeah, I do definitely think memories like especially like if you hear like like spirits that you might not think are making sense to you if you're asking questions, but you get like say a response where it doesn't make sense. What if that's just an echo? Like literally how time we are constructing time as we speak, where it's like, well, what if it's not in a linear path like we think? What if it's all around us at all times and it's everywhere at once? It I don't know. It's just a theory that I've always thought is really interesting.
yeah, we're big on the paranormal theories here on this show. Just so you know, we have so many of them. That leads me to my next one.
Segue.
So we have this theory that your brain suppresses paranormal images, basically. So, like, as you're doing an investigation, you might have our particular
Or something jarring.
story that is that we went into this jail cell
Mm.
at Lincoln County Jail, and we felt like this electric energy, right?
Almost
like-
like an overwhelming
It's like
presence was in there.
electric spider webs. I think that's the best description
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
that's the best way to explain
Electric spider webs just like hit you. And then on the way back, he was dreaming about this exact scenario.
it. And it was like a lucid dream where we were walking and talking the exact same thing, But
Yeah,
then we got in
Bruce,
front of the
same
cell.
words.
I saw what I guess you would have thought would have been in there, and it like rushed me, and I woke up when it rushed me. And then we started talking about it for it's been 2 years now, and it's like, well, what if subconsciously when trauma happens, you bury it? Because that's just it's a trauma response. Like it's a natural response. What happens if we're on investigations, like say, or like you look into a room and you're like, something's off. You might not think anything happened, but then you dream about it, or something, like recall, like a memory comes up and you're like, well, that's not how I remember seeing it. But what if how you remembered it or how you dreamed it is actually how it happened? So like maybe we did see a big black entity in the jail cell of like a former inmate that was angry and rushed at us. And it's like, well, that could have happened. Like I really don't know, because the dream was so real that it's like memory suppression's real. Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
weird.
From a psychology standpoint, it's totally real.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Especially too, like the movie The Fourth Kind is a really good example of that, where they show actual evidence of her in her therapy sessions when they do the hypnosis, and she's like recalling being abducted and starts screaming and knocking over lamps and like basically like twisting her body to the point to where she's like paralyzed for like the rest of her life because of it.
Movie.
Yeah, how is that not like buried trauma that really happened? Like, how is your brain literally just making that up? I don't know. Like, that's the thing that puts me over the edge, where I'm like, maybe this is a lot more factual than I think.
The coping mechanism. It's
Yeah.
it's burying things like that as a coping mechanism. People with PTSD do that. People, it is a trauma response at that point.
So crazy to think. Have you guys ever experienced like malicious entities on any investigations, or maybe even been followed back by anything?
Not that, but do
Really
you want to?
followed.
One of you want to talk about the Wendigo?
I do love a
Let's
Wendigo
go.
story, because I have one of my own where I'm pretty sure we encountered one.
Yeah.
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 We
So let's
did.
hear it.
We did
What
a-
about
We did a private residence house a couple years back where there was very interesting activity in the house and in the woods. Lot of darkness happened to the family who lived there, like actual things to themselves, suicide,
wow.
Yeah.
different things. And there was things to suggest that what was there was not necessarily human.
And I didn't believe
Wow.
it until
Yeah.
I saw there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
So you
don't.
actually
I couldn't
seen
see anything, but whatever was there was dark and creepy and scary.
Yeah, I always say too, like if you walk into a room and like somebody is like that overwhelming presence of just like anger or like oppression or whatnot, like you feel that, and it's like you
Mhm.
can 100% feel that bad intention. Like, so
Mhm.
walking into a house where it's filled like that, where it's like, ooh, that sounds terrifying.
It was
That
heavy.
house had seen
It was
so
very heavy.
much darkness and just cruelness and different things over the years that it had an energy of itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
The
I mean,
house
look at the
itself
lore
had a
behind
feeling.
a Wendigo too. It's literally bad medicine. Like, it's dark medicine.
Mhm.
What is
We ended up
okay?
catching
it's
some EVP of the Wendigo cry, actually.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
We also
I
got a Native American chant.
Native- yeah, because I was
Mhm.
hearing
Wow.
like the scream, and I was like, "Do you guys hear that?" They're like, "I don't hear it," and I'm like, "This is the craziest like guttural scream I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, what is?"
Yeah, no animal I've ever heard.
Oh, it was scary. It was like bone chilling. Like
The family was at the house and they didn't hear it, and they were like what,
Wow.
100
not
yards
that far.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we caught it on EVP, and yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's insane. Like, that's actually insane. Cause like my experience was a little more transient, I guess. Cause like me and my wife went to Eden Springs, and while we were out there, we had gotten things on the Spirit Talker that basically was like, I affect the animals. And then it was like, basically like, it was like saying malicious things pretty much all night. And then we heard like this same type of like sound, was a guttural, like low growl almost in the woods. And I was like, that was weird. Then we go back up and talk to Deb, who runs like the Eden Spring volunteer stuff, basically. And she was like,
doesn't anymore.
well, not anymore, but when she was there, but she was like, yeah, we've been seeing this like black, like large entity kind of roaming around, and like this.
They don't think it's a Wendigo though. They
They-
call it an elemental.
Yeah, but also they
Yeah.
did just uncover Native American remains in
Makes sense.
the like like from one of the storms they had, it washed out some of the
Dweebs was there.
one of the, what do you call it, like hills, and they found remains, and it's like, oh, that's super interesting. And then while we were walking back, we found a crawfish, and I was like, it's fucking 1 a.m. There's a crawfish on this big ass, like, I know you hate this, but it's like, it's on this big cement pad where it's like, yeah, it could have gotten there anyway, but it was just weird to
I
see
keep
it.
telling him it was probably a bird
He's
that
right.
picked it up and dropped
It
it.
was weird, but then when I got home the next day, we were on the Spirit Talker app again, showing my mother-in-law, and it basically told us to look in the window, and then somebody was peeping through my window the morning we got back, and I was like, okay, so now I have more validity that the Spirit Talker app wasn't just bullshitting me and something's happening. And then it also said Skinwalker at my house, which
Yikes.
Wendigos and Skinwalkers are different, but I was like, it's still Native American, and like, it's still conceivably like within the realm of possibilities too. And then my wife walked outside one night, and she was taking a video of a possum on our porch, and she was like, hey, and then Riley doesn't think it sounds like it, but
He
to
doesn't
me,
hunt, and he hasn't heard every single
he's
animal
right,
in the
but it
woods.
sounds like
and
she
I'm
gets
100% possum, 100% possum noise. 100%.
It sounds like
It
something
does
said,
not
hey, hey.
sound like someone saying, hey.
I'll have to
It
find the
does not.
video because I don't think we ever released
That-
it.
He's sometimes his wife gets a little too excited about the paranormal stuff,
But
and like wants something to happen so bad
true,
that she mentally makes something happen.
Ah,
Because you can do that in the
it's
paranormal
very
world.
possible
that's
to do
enough.
it. But like, but past that, even like me and Riley had the same dream at another investigation at a Native American burial ground of this like almost like dog-like creature. Like it wasn't like a
This
canine.
story, I believe a lot more
Yeah,
than the
it's
satanic
just
crucifix
it was
story.
like a very misshapen, like large black mass of like just like I don't even know how to say it. It's a bad spirit, probably is the best way to explain it. Like I wouldn't say dog man because no, but it had an elongated face. And it was running through the woods, and we had the same dream basically. Didn't tell each other about it until weeks after. And it was like we envisioned the exact same thing basically in the same spots, but like doing a little bit different things. So it's like, what's happening? Like, are we is this from the spirits of these Native American like remains that we've been around, or is this just a bad spirit? Like I have no idea.
Yeah, it's
See,
tough.
I have a theory
It's
about
terrifying.
like sometimes people calling things like a skinwalker and stuff because sometimes you got to understand what was happening years and years and years ago before like it was documented in books and everything.
Yeah.
Like Native Americans, when they would go to war, like they would dress up in animal like clothing and like
Mhm.
wear animal pelts and
Yeah.
like be big and ferocious, right? Like that was their look. And like say you're on a land, this warrior, right? Because they would have been a warrior that literally killed other human beings for honor, protection,
Yeah.
survival, like all of those things. That you're most likely, and you're not encountering like a Wendigo or a
But probably the
skinwalker,
spirit of the
but
warrior,
you're
right?
encountering
Right.
the
Yeah.
spirit of some type of Native American warrior that's
I'd
all
believe that.
suited.
Night
'Cause
Marchers,
most
same
likely they
too.
probably would have died in battle. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I mean it was a glorious way to die.
yeah, it definitely was. But that's just my
I think that's
theory,
why it's
how I think about it.
yeah. I think it's important to learn the history of where you're investigating too. So that way,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you have those experiences or people have claims, you can substantiate them with something that's, understandable. We had an investigation at a home a year or two ago where a child was seeing what they thought was, I don't remember how they
Oh.
described them, like mean soldiers. And it turned out their father was a fireman and had his equipment was hanging nearby, and he had his stuff, and we believe he was seeing like residual energy of some sort of the firemen with the suits and everything on.
That's so cool.
Oh,
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I watched a Ghost Adventures video last night, or not a video, on one of their earlier investigations of when they went to, it was like some of the mines out in Arizona, but they
the one
caught,
time too, Vulture Mines.
yeah, and it's like they caught what looked like a headlamp like on the FLIR,
Yeah.
like walking around. It's like I believe that stuff 100%, where it doesn't have to be like a full body or anything like that, but you explain that one
glimpse.
to me, you know what I mean?
Like a residual.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, like that, it fits. Like, yeah, you would wear a headlamp down in a mine like that. just like how you would see what you saw. Where it's like, wait a minute.
I
Mhm.
definitely recommend that place. If you ever are in Arizona, go
Place is
to the
really
Vulture
cool.
Mine. It's freaking cool.
I have to check that out.
Speaking of Vulture Mine, what would your guys' like dream location be if you could just go anywhere? Yeah, full access, like nothing's too taboo or off the table at this point. Like anywhere.
It's a tough one.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
Me and Riley have a couple of opinions, and it's like mine's a little
Yeah,
more
it's all kinds of
controversial.
things
but then
going through
again,
my
I
mind right
am-
now.
I want to go visit Scotland. I feel like there's a lot of history in Scotland. I'd like to go.
Anything
visit there.
Scotland, Ireland,
I
yeah,
feel like we don't see
Yeah,
enough
I wanna-
paranormal
I wanna
investigations come from
travel.
there.
Yeah.
because it's
that's
normal.
all
I
the
think they're just
castles.
there's so many things. Yeah, the
Mhm.
catacombs,
All the
definitely
castles.
the catacombs.
The
Yeah,
catacombs
Yeah,
would be
catacombs
amazing.
would
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah, just all
I'd
the
love to
history
go
that
back to New
surrounds
Orleans and
Paris
investigate
too.
anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mine's Pleveglia Island.
Where's that?
Yes, that would be
It's in
fun.
Italy and Venice, just
Okay.
outside of Venice.
It
Nice.
was
Okay.
so it per square inch on that like island, and it's not huge. They say that there are I think 10 bodies per like square foot or whatever.
Wow.
Oh,
Where
wow.
it's like they used to dump like all the remains and the ashes and stuff of people that had TB, and then they also put a sanatorium on it at one point, and then it's a
not
mass
just TB,
grave.
but the Black
The Black
Plague,
Plague too, yeah. So like the whole island is basically the island of death, is what they call it, right? I think it's what they
basically,
call
yeah.
it.
And then after like a century passed or whatever, and some doctor bought the island and put a sane asylum on it, basically, and then treated the patients
Like
terribly. It was
shit.
super evil.
Lobotomies, like electric
Yeah,
shock
ice
therapy,
picks,
like
all
all
that
of it.
stuff.
So it's like that place
Wow.
is just it's charged. But I was always on that like I would love to do a respectful like investigation of say like Auschwitz or Birkenau just to see if I could help a spirit move on if they're like lost or something. Which
Right.
it would also be interesting just because it's like maybe they're just crying out to be heard. Like the story it's there. Like it's a terrible one for sure, but it's like do you really want that to die off in history so it repeats itself? Probably not. Or like Pompeii, how it was just frozen in time. I feel like that would be super cool to do too.
Yeah. Yeah. Island of Dolls, I think, would be awesome too.
Oh,
Dolls are
that's
fucking
Island.
scary though.
They are, but that would be so cool.
treacherous.
Like
It would be.
the last video I
The
saw there,
spiders,
the
though, like,
spiders were the
I
size
don't
of
know
my
about
fucking
that,
hand,
like,
and the dolls were moving
We
their heads,
might have to
staring
bring
at
a
me.
torch with us
Yeah.
because
That would be terrifying, but it would be awesome to experience.
It would be pretty cool.
It'd be crazy.
I mean, we're talking spiders like bigger than our head. Like we've
Yeah.
been inside of a doll's eye, and you're just like looking at this doll, and then a spider comes. Nah, nope.
So how do you guys feel about like outside investigations? Like would you prefer doing inside ones compared to say like cemeteries or things like that? Or is it like I'll do what I can?
Whatever
do
you
it.
can, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I would
we
do
like
anything.
cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly I think me and Riley's favorite are to do cemeteries
That's
because
my
it's like it
favorite.
seems like it's the most concentrated. Where it's like where are you gonna go to like get the best energy source? I don't know. Find a battery. Where's the best battery gonna be? Probably where a lot of spirits were laid to rest. So if they're still like wandering around, they're like, yo,
And on top of that, you have
that's me.
all the history that happened on that land before the cemetery
True.
was even
Right.
there.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of times they were like
In the middle of
legitimately
an
farmsteads
old,
or
like town that
Yeah.
used to be there years
Right.
ago, and it's not on any map or history. Like we just don't know.
or Grand Haven's a great example. Like nobody really understands the fact that all of the main strip in Grand Haven is probably haunted because that was a mass grave for a long time.
Yeah, all of Central Park was the original cemetery of Grand Haven,
Yeah.
and they opened Lake Forest, and they moved a majority of the bodies and didn't put them in their own graves. They dug a
They just
giant hole
threw them in there.
and just put them all in there. And
Wow.
then shortly after that, there was a tuberculosis outbreak, and I think like 800 kids died in Grand Haven of TB, and they just dumped them in a
And
giant pit.
the boat crash off the pier too, where like 200 people died in like the sinking of I forgot what the ship was named, but like then they didn't even have enough places to put the bodies, so they put them in the train depot that's right there.
Oh my
It's like, yeah, you go to like nice little Grand Haven, it's so quaint and nice, but it's like I bet you 100% you walk around there like 3 in
But
the morning and you'll
That's
get
also
like
just
echoes.
how life was back in
True.
the 1800s.
And that's
like, it just
everywhere.
was.
That's the crazy part. That's probably everywhere, and we don't. That's
Mhm.
the bad part about Muskegon and like the Michigan west side of Michigan. I probably could generally say that whole area. There's not a ton of records. I know a lot of places that like they had fires and they lost all of the material that was from like the 1950s and back. And it's like, man, that's
Like,
tragic.
there is a lot of good documented history, but there's a lot of forgotten history of Michigan for sure. There's towns that, like Pure Cheney. Have you ever heard of Pure Cheney? The
Yep.
Mm-mm.
town, I think a sickness came through because they said a witch cursed it, and
It's
basically
just
everyone in
gone.
the town died except I think like 8 people or something like that.
It's just a
Yeah.
ghost town now.
And now it just doesn't even exist. Like there's no really
There's
much record
nothing there.
of it.
Mhm.
It's just
Wow.
there's a cemetery and that's
But
about it.
I would definitely believe that if people lived there and they had died there, that if the greater prevailing theory is real, that spirits are kind of anchored to like places that they resided a lot or that they enjoyed, or places like the stone tape theory. It's like, okay, well then you can't tell me that these abandoned places aren't gonna have activity if that prevailing theory is real. Which I don't know at this point, because we've had like contradictory stuff of a spirit telling us that they're transient and that they can come and go from the afterlife into this realm if they want to. So it's like, shoot, now what do I think?
That's coming up in our next video.
Have you guys ever had any encounters like that where it's like you guys are physically talking to an intellectual person that is in the room with you, and it's like, I can't believe this right now?
I would say we've had some experiences where we're definitely talking to something that is intelligent and communicating back. And I think that we have spoken to spirits in the past that are not, I don't know how you say it, earthbound. They are
Right.
like, what's the difference between a spirit and a ghost?
Yeah.
Is a spirit able to go back and forth and communicate, or is it a ghost stuck here? I mean,
Or like,
I'm
if
still
I
developing my
if I
opinions on
died
that.
tonight and I don't have an anchor tying me anywhere and I can go where I want, I'm going to the edge of space if there is an edge of space. Like I need to know all of these crazy things. And that's the other question. Like, do you get to like do you get privy to all the information that's everywhere in the universe as soon as you die? That's what I
You just all of a sudden know
really
everything.
want to know. Like,
Think
do
so.
yeah, is it just like snap? There it
Death
is.
is an ascension.
You become one
Dude, that's the thing.
business that is all at that point. You become
Yeah, I mean, I'm back to my mother, which is the whole cosmos dust.
Yeah.
Like my main mother.
I know. I'd
Where
say
I don't know.
question too, because I communicate with dead people. So it's like,
Right. Yeah. And well, the other theory too is like, are we like bioengineered by aliens? Like,
Yeah.
is that why like nobody's saying shit? Is it because actually we're just science experiments? Oh, fucking no.
The world is just a simulation.
I think Sasquatch is an alien. That's probably why we don't see remains or like see him very often, is because he literally is like seen, but we're only seeing the intelligent alien that's hairy and looks like a primate leave because he's going back to his ship or wherever he's hiding, because it's way different than what we actually think.
We didn't
So
see him
there-
in the woods because he was already beamed back up.
Yeah, he beamed up, Scotty. 100%. I mean, it's not that out of the realm of possibility, if you ask me, though. Where it's like aliens are wild. We don't really know what they look like. People tell me that there's reptiles, that there's
Did you
birds.
see what just came out from Mexico today?
yes,
Oh,
I
that yeah, the like
No.
saw
the
that yesterday. That was wild.
completely entombed alien like specimen they have that's supposed
That
to be
was
like 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
It's bizarre for sure, but I don't know.
Yeah. They look kind of hokey to me personally.
Yeah, I would like
It is
plaster, really good plaster effect.
Really good glass.
It looks like a paper mache.
Yeah, but then again, like if it's 1,000-year-old, like
They say they came from diatoms or something like that. They were found in diatoms.
I don't even know what that is.
So it's like little tiny microscopic organisms.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, but even I
Interesting.
don't know. It's pretty wild.
Oh, if you
Oh.
haven't seen
Yeah.
this yet,
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they say. Which I mean, if we're talking little gray men, there you go.
Extra.
That
But,
looks like
like-
something from like every old movie I've ever seen about aliens, and Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
weird thing I have to say about it, it kind of looks like the thing that used to taunt me in my dreams a lot, which is kind of creepy.
That is
kinda creepy.
super creepy.
Yeah.
Actually,
It
Because
looks
when
like
I
ET.
first saw it, I was like,
it
oh,
does kind of look like ET. Actually, what if ET
like,
was just
okay.
softening us up for this? Like the real, like, hey, aliens are real. That's actually what ET looked like, and this is actually ET.
Yeah, that's wild.
Are they going to do carbon dating or anything on this? Or
They did. It was 1,000
did?
years old, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I look
1,000
that
years
good
old.
for 1,000 years old.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's in good shape, like for being
Right.
1,000 years old. I just don't know how
Damn.
legitimate it is. It's
Well
just like
preserved.
these megalodon sightings and stuff. Like, I
I
really want to
don't believe
believe
the
it's
TikTok
real.
mega. I don't. believe
No,
it.
I definitely think people are trying to go viral, but like I do believe megalodons might be real, but I don't think we're
They
seeing them.
definitely were real.
I don't think that we're seeing them though. Like not yet. I think they're way below what we're actually able to like depth wise like go to. And they're probably feeding on all of the life that's down there because who knows? It's probably teeming with life down there.
You mean like megalodon that exists today?
There's so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
if there is like it, because I don't know if I believe the videos that I see online of these
No.
megalodons that they catch
No.
on
Or
the surface or
leviathans,
things like that.
or dragons. Or
But I
any of
would put
that.
my money on like deep in like the oceans of Antarctica or like in the Marianas Trench where we just can't physically get deep
See,
enough
I
to
think the
see
water's
down
too
there.
cold.
Maybe, but then again, like
Kind
it's
Would too.
Whales don't
5
even go that
times.
deep,
It's
and they're
5 times
covered
the
in blubber.
size. True, but it's 5 times the size of normal animals that probably are able to traverse those
which
depths
means they
anyway.
would need a lot of warmth to keep
What
its
if
blood
it's like a
flow.
giant fucking heater because it's a giant predator? I don't know.
No.
Mammals.
That's not how it works.
Well, have you guys ever seen that video of, I think it's like a video or a picture of like that really long squid that they found? Like, it was
Most
kind of creepy.
probably.
Like, it has
Was
really,
it in Alaska?
I
or
can't
is
remember
it-
where it was, but
I might have seen it.
something that was really bizarre looking.
There have been a lot more giant squid actually found, like legitimate giant squid that people thought were real for years. That more of them
Yeah.
are coming up and more of them being
Yeah, like
spotted.
the video of the one that went across the road, everybody's like, that's so fake. No, come to find out, that's a real fucking thing, and they really fucking do that. And it's
Yeah.
really fucking sketchy because that's massive.
Yeah. Well, the ocean's like a whole nother realm of unexplored that, I mean, there's
Right.
so much to it we have no idea about.
If I wasn't a paranormal investigator, that's what I probably want to do.
Have
Although
you
I
seen
don't
the
wanna
theories
blow
that
up in
that's
a
where
sub,
aliens are
but-
coming from?
They're here in Hollow Earth.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories
Hollow Earth
that
theory is real.
the aliens are coming from the ocean.
So the
Yeah, I
sightings
would
that
believe
I've
that.
near water, typically,
Mhm.
anytime I've ever sighted them, it's by the Lake Michigan.
Yeah, that's we always ask all of our friends that like we talk to now everywhere, and they're like, I've never seen a UFO. And it's like me and Riley have seen, I feel like multiple at this point, and it's almost to me because of our water,
It's
because
of
the
it, yeah.
clean water, because of all the oceans. Like that's probably why if aliens are coming here, which I don't think everything that we see on these UFOs or UAP things are aliens. I think we see a very, very, very small glimpse of a few here or there, but we have the resources that probably other planets don't.
We're like
It
a
would make sense to me.
bat- the lake's like a battery for them, I would think.
Yeah. Same with spirits. Like water and spirits are like they're conductors. Like they go hand in hand.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Have you ever been to Mouse Cemetery?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We love mouth.
That place.
We love that
Yes.
place.
Do you guys have crazy experiences there too?
Yep.
We have a few experiences. We've seen things moving through the trees. We've had
Weird people.
people, well, yes, but having random people just appear out of nowhere talking to you in the middle of the cemetery in the middle of the night. Yeah.
And you're like,
Wearing no
bro,
shoes. I
what's
don't know,
up?
that was
Right.
Where did you come from?
so she had a
Oh
huge
my
dog.
God.
And she's got the dog on a leash, and it's dark as dark. She's not wearing shoes, and she just like ran to us out of nowhere. There's sticks, and I don't know how she made it there without falling, stubbing a toe. I'm still dumbfounded by what happened. Like all of a
done
sudden,
this
she's
a few
just
times. Those calluses.
And we all remember her looking different.
yes. Every one of us that was there describe her different hair, different clothes, different dog.
That's
You
thing.
That's
one of the
fucking
weirdest
that
things
is
I've ever
interesting.
experienced.
It was
That's
weird.
really weird, actually. And it's not, and
was
it's
really
like you guys experienced the same exact time. Like it's not like anything was different other than
Right.
how you guys
right.
interpreted it, which tells me like
Mm.
there might be something there. Like that's
Yeah,
really weird.
it was
Right. The
really
only
weird.
difference was our location to each other. Like I was at the front and everyone else was kind of behind us, so we had a little bit different view. I had a light, she didn't, so there was the light thing, but like for her hair color to be different, her clothing to be different, us to describe a
Yeah.
different dog.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's
weird.
not like she was shining you, so it's like when you
No, I was
doing like the
shining
whole
her.
Right.
She was
flashlight
coming at
bit,
me in
yeah,
the
it's
dark.
not like you're like doing the whole flashlight standoff where it's like I can't see your face. Like, what's up, man? I don't know if you're mad or if you're
Yeah.
happy. I can't say. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't know. She came running at us. My dumb self got in the front with a flashlight, and everybody else stands behind me. And
Hands up.
afterwards, I'm like,
I'm the
why did I do that?
What did she say though? Like, was she like friendly at least, or was she like, you gotta leave?
She was very perky, like very, very perky and friendly.
Yeah,
Wanted to know
it
what
was-
we were doing, and she's like, "Well, have a good night. A lot of people here at night, and I live around the corner." And then she just kind of like frolicked away.
What?
But she wanted to know our names, and
Yeah.
then she
So we
started
told her the wrong
guessing.
name.
Yeah, she started guessing
I forgot about
names,
that.
and it was really weird.
What?
Wild.
We haven't had that type of encounter yet. Usually, when we run into people at cemeteries or whatnot, they're like, "Whoa, what are you guys doing? Have you caught anything?"
We've had that
There's
too.
a
We've
channel?
had-
Yeah, we've had that.
Can
Yeah.
we investigate too?
Like,
And then they
are
just
you guys
hang out and it's fun.
investigating?
Yeah, and it's every time too. And it's like we've met 3 different like groups of people now, and like 2 of them were other paranormal investigation groups. And it's like, sweet, that's awesome. And then the last time, like they were just like, we live over there, and I think my uncle was murdered. And then we
Yep,
got
that happened.
really crazy evidence that his uncle was in the cemetery with us. It's like,
Oh wow.
you just made this video even more crazy, man.
That's in the haunted Indian burial ground.
Yeah, that place is really cool. Like it's in Ludington, I'm
very
pretty sure, right?
Custer,
Yeah.
actually.
Custer, yeah, it's the Custer Riverside Cemetery. That's
Yep.
what it's called. Yeah, that place is
Actually,
a good place to check
It's
out.
3 cemeteries in one.
It's huge.
Okay. We had a lot of
Interesting.
Yeah.
activity in the Lighthouse Keepers family's burial
haven't
area,
gone there
Mel,
yet.
Yeah,
in the back
I
there.
was
That
gonna
was
say,
really good.
what's his name? Oh god,
Johnson, I mean
Mm.
Johnson, right? And that's
I
his last name.
it's
believe so.
William.
Yeah, William Johnson.
It's something like that. But yeah, he was the
think
lighthouse
that's
keeper for like 80 years.
Yes, and then his family
I've
all
heard of
lived
what-
there. Most of them.
Yeah.
We had a
Yep.
lot of activity.
Same. We've caught a
there.
lot of children stuff there quite often.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We had the spirit box, not spirit box. The music box went off many times, like on a
Mhm.
path that there was nothing crossing.
Did you guys have
Lots of
like a
stuff.
Mel meter or anything like that where you can see
Yeah.
like milligas spikes? Did it any time did it spike crazy high there for you guys?
Yep. Yep.
I think the melt
Ours
meter
jumped to,
was
like,
one of the things going off
300.
at his gravesite.
Really? While
Yeah.
we were in the back a little bit past where the pump for the well is right there. And like we were just
Yep.
walking towards the back of the cemetery towards the right side of it. And like we got this jump on the milligauss where it was like 300. And like when I looked it up later, it was like the equivalent to what a nuclear bomb like would create an energy like spike
Oh,
like that. And I
wow.
was like, what the hell? Like we're in a cemetery and it's literally overgrown and wooded. There's no
Mhm.
power lines here.
We've also
Yeah.
had nights there where nothing happens
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
Like nothing.
It's
Like
it's
maybe
really
a couple
strange.
voices on the spirit box that are inconclusive, and then that's it. But then other nights it's like
We'll catch spirit like
We-
figures in
we've caught
pictures.
2 apparitions there
Yeah.
on camera.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
We caught a
Yeah.
like
we saw a shadow
figure.
person there. Yep.
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 We caught that on like his wife took 3 photos where it moves across the screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
cool.
gets-
Yeah.
like
and
8,
it's like
9 feet
the
tall.
other
It's
photo
crazy.
is like a woman in like a Victorian style dress. It's like long and flowing, and you can see like if they were holding their hands kind of like open like that. And it's like, whoa, like there's detail to that. Like I don't think that's just matrixing or like that's like a bush.
It's a wild cemetery for sure.
Yeah, I love Mouth. Like that is probably my favorite place to investigate. But we've done it a lot.
Nunica as well. Love Nunica Cemetery. That place is always a
I just wish the
blast.
car dealerships wasn't there.
Yeah, if the car dealership wasn't there, it'd be even more spooky.
The light saturation, it doesn't kill it, but like it used to be a lot cooler. And I'm sure you guys were there before they really put the infrastructure all around it. And then the extra highway that went in. It's like, man, this place used to be quiet and dark. Now it's a little bit less.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried to do like the Ada Witch or anything like that?
No, we
No.
haven't. We haven't been up there yet.
We didn't have any luck when we went.
I saw an apparition there in high school.
Yeah, so I don't
Did
don't
you?
believe that it's not like active, but I also have heard stories where it contradicts like what is actually
The whole,
there.
it's a
I say,
legend.
I've heard mixed stories about that one.
hmm Yeah, and like when we went there, there's a really funny story to this actually. So it was when we first started doing our investigations, like for real, and we were really scared that we were gonna get in trouble by like the police showing up or something. So we were like, how do we get in here? Like, I think the gates are closed, so we gotta get in here somehow because we came all this way. Well, we ran through the woods and decided to jump the fence. Come to find out the gate was open, and nobody, and not at any point
Not a
have we.
single car came down the road. the
Not
night we
only
were there
that,
either.
every other investigation that we've done where it's like a cemetery, nobody is really that mad that you're in there being respectful. Like our friend Chase, who is actually a police officer now, but prior to this was not, got pulled over and the cop was like, "What's all that stuff?" And he was like, "Oh, this is my paranormal equipment." And then the cop and him sat there for like a half an hour talking about it. And he was like, "Cool,
We forgot
guys."
the cop forgot to write even a ticket. It was just like, "Have a good day." And
Yeah, and then
left.
left. And it's like, at this point, I
It's
don't
funnier now
believe
too
that.
because Chase is now a police officer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it's funny where it's like you come from the like humble beginnings like that, where it's like I used to have to like jump fences and I was terribly afraid of places, but now it's like, all right, I really want to see if this whole like legend and lore from these like childhood stories or these high school like crazy stories that I heard are real. And it's like, oh, don't ruin my my hopes and dreams just yet. Like maybe, but yeah, the Ada Witch one to me was the one that I was like, I don't know. Every other one that I've heard like is pretty credible, but that one was. What do you guys think about the melon heads? Like Felt Mansion
It's
and all
super
that?
creepy.
They freak me out.
It's super creepy.
yeah,
It's super creepy. Yeah, don't know
I'm
a lot
pretty sure
about
they
them.
do
But it's really creepy.
investigations.
They do investigations at Felt Mansion. I have no idea though, like a lot of the history, other than like the crazy stuff where it's like these kids that were part of like Project Indigo or whatever from
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra, yeah. We're like trying to make them superhumans, and now they have like the wow, I can't think of words today. Like the melon head effect, you know, and it's like then they let them go into the woods. Now they're like haunting the place, trying to kill people. Like, oh, whoa, let's back up here. Like maybe something weird did happen, but like I don't know. That story's wild.
Has Felt geez, I can't talk now.
It's
Has Felt
it's
Mansion
contagious.
started investigations again?
I'm pretty sure that I saw like on a post recently that Felt Mansion was doing investigations again. At least
Okay.
Like
from
public tour.
yeah, at
investigations,
least
I think.
tours or whatnot, or like
Oh.
they're starting to like reopen it again to like get your dates or whatever. Because I
Okay.
don't remember whose social media I saw it on, because it wasn't mine. Somebody else's phone was like, "Hey, check this out." I was like, "Oh, cool." Like the 15 seconds I looked at it, I was like, "Sick."
Talking
Bro, we
about
were
you
literally
earlier.
just talking about Homie a little while ago about how the Spirit Talker app is complete truth and it's definitely usable for every investigation, because once you get that bitch going off and it's telling you things, there's no going back.
Yeah.
But man, that Felt Mansion to me is just such an enigma, because it's like it really could be haunted, but like, what is the actual story? Like, I want to know the truth. That's the hardest part, is finding out the real
Right.
truth about a lot of these places.
I really want to go there, but then I was planning on going there, but then they, said, "Don't, we don't do that anymore." So
Really?
yeah,
That's like the
but
Silver
well,
Sides. The Silver Sides used to be super cool about it, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys can come out here." They let our good friend Danny do it, and then once the new director came
The
over,
old director of the Queen Mary
yeah, came over from the Queen
is now
Mary.
the director of the SS Silversides. And if you know anything about the Queen Mary, for
It's
a
super
long time
haunted.
they stopped doing paranormal investigations there, and that's because this guy took over as the director of.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and he said
So-
"poo,"
Yeah,
which I mean,
Well,
I get it. Like the
we're
reason
not
he
hating,
gave
we're not
us,
hating on the guy. He has
the
valid
reason he
reasons,
gave
but-
us was actually completely valid, because he was like, "We don't want to scare any of like the Boy Scout troops away that do spend
Yeah.
nights on this place."
well,
And
I
like,
was
that's
told that
understandable.
we can do them as long as we don't say that we're going on there.
they gave us
Right.
complete shams then. That's baloney.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
put out a video without telling people.
I would
where
just
I'm
love
at.
to do it in
Right.
the
Yeah.
museum
You
itself,
wouldn't be able to
too.
put a video out. Yeah.
For
I
us,
was
that's
like,
everything.
cause
Yeah, where it's like,
yeah.
man, I love having the stories, but like the credible evidence is really where I live. Cause it's like I love the
Right.
tangible stuff. Cause stories are 100% factual, and I believe everybody that's come on here and told me their stories. Cause I don't think anybody ever has come on here has given any reason to lie about any of this. But
Right.
like when you can go, hey, check this out. It's like, oh, my little boy brain goes right back into like, yeah, like you know what I mean? Like the child in me is like, dude, I learned with visual aids, and this is the best thing at my adult age. Fuck you. I don't know. Dude, words have been hard today. It's the coffee, I'm telling you.
You're right.
He's all jacked up on caffeine. Dude.
It's the coffee out of a shaker bottle. That's what's doing it. It's really got me fucked up today.
That's funny.
But shoot, I mean, have you guys like, would you say on most of your investigations that you've caught evidence, or has it been like here and there where it's like we'll get a run of like a week where, like it seems like every investigation that we've gone on this month has been active, but then the next month nothing happens for any of the investigations?
It goes in streaks.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
always
I'd
like to
say
say
so.
waves, where it's like the wave
Yeah,
will crash
waves,
and then it's
that's
gotta
good.
pull
Yep.
back.
Yep.
Yeah,
Waves
normally
isn't accurate.
stuff at every location. Sondra, your grandpa like to pop
Yeah,
up at
he
every
likes to follow us around.
investigation.
I have to sometimes
I
go,
think
Grandpa, move
Grandma's
over
great
so we
grandma
can
does
go
too.
sit here
Yeah.
talk.
Because every-
Yeah, we'll get like the name Genevieve like multiple times on different locations on investigations, and that's like my
Interesting.
wife's like great grandma, and it's like
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just happenstance, but like that's pretty interesting. Maybe she's like,
Yeah.
yo, you guys gotta stay away from them because they're doing right, like they're doing good in the world.
Yeah, she's
Right. And
protecting.
it's not like Genevieve's a common name, so it's not something that's popping
No,
up
it's not at
every
all,
time you go
yeah.
anywhere. It's
And I've
Yeah,
had
it's
to
always
send my
crazy.
mother-in-law home a few times.
yes.
Really, really. I love that. That
See,
is
I'm
so
I'm
fun.
believing attachments more and more, especially since like
Mhm.
this investigation that we have coming out
It's
in
crazy.
like mid-October is really gonna prove like how intelligent and like the spirits can like really actually follow you around, like
Yeah.
legitimately follow you, and it opened up my eyes because for a long time I wasn't so sure on attachments.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about being affected. I don't know how, like, because on Ghost Adventures, I
think
love ragging on it.
it's-
I love the show, but
yeah,
like
it's-
they play it up so fucking much.
I think it was a lot
So
of to do with
much.
the TV stuff, but
Yeah.
then having this platform and having so many people come on here and tell their testimonies of attachments,
And then experiencing it too.
and then seeing a lot of their videos and like having the same evidence come up over and over again relating to this attachment that they
Mhm.
have. It's just like, okay, now I'm like really starting to like
I got a lot more belief
for
in it than I
more.
did.
And-
And like we got
Right.
attachment at Nunica, and it was right after another investigation where we believed that like at the Asher Walton house that Asher Walton himself basically told a bad entity that was there to like leave, like get out. And he wasn't talking to us. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Like maybe there is some like real legitimacy here where like I just wanted to look past it because I don't have the answers. I wish I did, but
Mhm.
I mean, if the shoe's fitting, like I don't want to say that it's completely
Right.
like right, but it's hard to
And
say that it's not.
This is like, I don't really believe we have an attachment. I think we have something
Comes and goes.
that
I would
it's
say
like,
that I would
is
say
an
that.
attachment, but like it isn't like in my house haunting that place up. You know
No,
what
it's
I mean?
almost like it goes between
looks
us
You have a
sometimes.
an
visitor.
opportunity where I exactly like
Mhm.
it waits for me to open the door for it. It's like
Like the bad thoughts seep in, and then it's like bad luck streaks happen, and then it's like, oh man, corrupted data, like that hasn't happened in a long time. Like what the fuck is going on? And then it's like you'll go on an investigation, and then you'll get something that says attachment, or you'll get like this weird dark feeling. And it's like, and then it'll go away for a week, and you'll have a great week, and everything is going awesome, and like numbers are skyrocketing. And you're like, sweet. When's it all gonna fuck up again? Hold on. Like, is it coming back around? Are we good now? Like, I don't know. That's how it's felt for me at least. So
We've had a ton of private residence cases on where the client has had something with them every place they've lived, and it'll ebb and flow on the amount of activity. When things are happening in their life, they might escalate, and we've had enough experiences to know that some people, it's not location based, it's something with them.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's wild to me.
It's that's
'Cause
heavy
like I
too.
said, like this whole attachment thing is like
It's
for a
pretty
long time I
new.
honestly thought it was like a like producer TV
Yeah, it's
ploy
like just make
that
it up right now.
was kind of just like pushed out there, and then you see like all the YouTube investigators start talking about it, and I was like, come on, like there's no way. Like
I'm not like asking for it, but like now that we both experienced some weird stuff like that, it's like, yeah, okay.
and do you guys ask spirits not to follow you home? Because that's something we do
Yes.
not do.
We do a
Yeah.
terrible
Yep.
job of that.
Protection is key.
Yes.
Doing
Both
You
when,
have to.
because they will
Do you
laugh.
both when I
think
leave
that
the
just
place
don't
and
come
before I
though?
go home. I'm like, "This is your last chance. Get out the car. You're not coming with me."
Right.
But like to me, it's like, yes, I believe that probably does help. But like, if a spirit's like,
If it wants to
yeah,
test
like
you
I
as
feel like it's gonna
human,
be like, I don't fucking care.
Intention is everything.
Like that's true. That's
Intention
true. Manifesting is real too. So
Yeah.
it's like the Soul Slender Man thing. Like that,
Just
it was
setting
made up
your
off of like
boundaries.
that. Yeah, that's a good point too. Having a boundary, especially where it's
Mhm.
like provoking, I don't always believe in, but I think there's a way to do it where it's not malicious. But if you're being malicious to a spirit, like, oh yeah, you're inviting something bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that there's any question about that because you're pushing a button that's like like say we're just having a conversation and I start getting really offensive. You're gonna get offended. You're gonna come back at me with something that's like, hey, like probably I'm triggered now. I'm gonna say something to you that's probably a little bit more up on that like anger scale. It's like that probably is
Escalation.
the exact same way. Yeah, that's the exact
Mhm.
same way that it happens when you're speaking to spirits.
Mhm.
interesting. I just feel like
But
like I said, it's such a new thought for me that like
Yeah.
because like I
I don't even know if I believe in
ghosts,
orbs.
but at the same time, it's like I want
dust.
the
Yeah.
factual evidence that it's actually happening. So like for me to say that there's an attachment, like I would literally need my house to be going fucking ape shit, cabinets opening and shit when I'm like not home and like get
The
home, all
crazy
cabinets
videos were
are
like, I
open.
don't believe this.
Yeah, like I would
Mhm.
need my life to literally be like the internet videos that you see of people saying
Right.
like they have.
All the doors open at once.
Yeah, like
It's like
I need
I'm
that.
leaving. It's
Then
like,
I'll believe it.
oh,
But do you
Especially
think
because
as
like
a Do you think
oh,
as a
go, go, go.
paranormal investigator, you're more likely to believe something or see something and believe it you see someplace else as opposed to if it happens in your own home? If it happens in your own home, you're like, oh no, that didn't know. Nope, that's not happening here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me for sure.
yeah,
If I
yeah.
was to see a ghost in my house, I'm
I've
like,
wrote
nah,
off a
this
few
happened.
things.
That didn't happen,
Yeah.
but if I seen a ghost at a haunted place, I'm like, oh my god, I just
We
seen a
had
ghost.
something weird happen
At my house,
live
we're
when
like,
they
you
were at
didn't
my
see that?
house,
Look
like-
away.
That happened.
Yeah, like I had like this like trifold like it was like a piece of cardboard from one of the Magic the Gathering boxes that I got, and it just like flew off of the shelf that it was
It's
on.
been up there for years.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, we're live. The fuck was that? All right, play it off. It's nothing. Sasquatch. Yeah. And it's like
The air
to this
conditioning
day,
just
I
came
don't know
on. That's
how.
all it was.
Yep. Or we had a rocking chair in my daughter's room start rocking on its own in her
Oh yeah,
her
that's
room camera.
creepy.
And I was like, the air's not on, the heat's not on, and the window's
Yeah.
shut. The fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Whenever
Then-
something ever falls off of something in my house, I always get blamed for it. And it's like I haven't gone ghost hunting in weeks. I didn't
Yeah.
bring anything home, guys, you know, and
Mhm.
my
Yeah,
boys are
mother-in-law 100% is the same way. She's like, don't
Yeah.
you dare bring anything back.
exactly.
My husband.
It's
My
like-
husband's like, you can go do whatever you want, but don't bring it home. Like, okay.
That's
Like right now I've got some weird stuff going on in my house and it's like, Sarah, what's going on?
I
It's
think
like,
Oh
that's
god.
Yes.
It's almost like doubly terrifying knowing that you sleep there too. Where it's like every night I'm here. Like I can't go away from this.
right.
So I think I'm so brave in a lot of locations that we go to where it's like, I'll be back one day, but like I ain't seeing you tomorrow. Like, I
Right,
paid for tonight, I'm
exactly.
sorry. But then
Do
again,
you
I
do a lot of
really wanna
overnights in
do-
locations?
We try to, or if we're not staying there, we'll go at say like 8, 9 o'clock, and then we'll be there till like 3, 4 in the morning. Where it's like, all right, like my body physically shutting off. Like I wouldn't even be investigating
We've
anyway.
only had the
Okay.
opportunity to do one real overnight, and that was the Asher Walton house that we did a couple months ago.
Yeah, and
Other
like
than
the other
that,
places,
Other
like
places we've been kicked out at like 3
Eloise,
a.m.
I was glad to leave when we were getting kicked out because it was like I can't feel my hands, face, feet,
Oh.
legs.
Yeah.
Eloise was probably one of the most intense places I've ever been.
It's
It made me
that
physically
place is amazing.
ill. It made me physically ill.
I can see that. There were
That
people
was a
at our ghost
that was
hunt
a
that
different
felt
one.
that way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we
I
had
wish
some of
we
the
would've-
most crazy evidence that we ever caught.
At Eloise.
Like, yeah, we had a rubber duck that we bring on every investigation. That you guys have probably seen them if you go to Meijer or Walmart and you go into
in
the
the checkout
checkout
lane.
aisle. Yeah, the ones that
Oh,
if you
yeah.
click, they'll light up. We just brought one because we were like, let's just bring a trigger object. Why not? It's a duck. Fuck yeah, ducks are cool. We'll call them Quackers or Mr. Quackington or I forgot what Waddles. We named him Waddles.
Mr. Waddles.
Mr. Waddles. But we threw him out in the middle of this group of 20 people we were with.
Didn't tell any of them we set
Nope.
it down.
We were pretty much like, hey, we're gonna walk out here, just don't worry about it, it's us. Set it down there. And then we were like, if you want to make this duck go off, all you have to do is touch it. And like
On command, it lit up.
and for
Yeah.
15
And
minutes
then-
straight, it was doing it.
You can't forget this part of the story because it's also in the video. Right as it lit up, a voice came on over their Phasma box
Mm.
that was an old lady, and this was on the dementia floor.
Mm.
An old lady said, "Ducky,"
Aw.
Oh wow.
Wow.
and they for
Cool.
24 minutes they lit it up on command.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
we've brought this duck to probably
Every place we go
8 or
to.
9 locations now that we've done.
And
The
doesn't
duck
go
is
off
And
haunted
we've
now.
never had it go off again. Well, that
I hope
Well,
it
that's
is.
that
cool.
duck particularly is
We
still at
left it
Eloise.
at Eloise for them to play with because we were like, hey,
Oh, cool.
like we don't want anybody to take this. Where should I put it? And they were like, wherever you can put it. So I put it on like one of the exit signs way up high because I was like, if it goes off, it's gonna be really noticeable for one, and two, nobody's gonna steal it because 100%. I bet you we had people from Ghost Hunts USA with us, and like a couple of the other groups, there was like younger people that were not taking it seriously, and I was like, I want to experience this in its glory without 3,000 people here. Because I think there was literally about 120 people.
150.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
They pack them, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it
the
was
first time
it was
Candy and I went, it was like that. Yeah.
yeah, and it was fun because we still experienced a lot of stuff. But I really do think that once it's smaller groups, it's 100% different. Because even in the basement, me and Riley were standing off the group a little bit, and we saw this huge flash of light in this room. We just walked in there. And it was just a cement box room. There's nothing in there. There's no REM pod, no flashlights, nothing. And another guy walked over to us and was like, "Did you see that?" We're like, "Motherfucker!" Like, what was that? And it was like 20 minutes from the investigation that we had just started, and it was like a whole
That's
night.
wild.
Everything
I still
would,
don't
like,
know what that was.
or we caught an EVP when they were with which I do appreciate how they let us use like tools that we probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to use when we started. Like they had what was that recorder that everybody uses? That's
Oh my gosh.
the super expensive one.
The
like-
Panasonic.
Yeah.
the Panasonic,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
They had
that
one, and I got to take
something
it into
60.
another room.
Yeah.
And
DR60.
That's
Thank
what
you.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yep.
I used it, and I was like, "Is there anybody here who wants to communicate with me?" And all of a sudden, you hear, and it was like this, like loud as fuck growl, and it was just like, "I didn't do that." Like, what was that? And one of the weirdest things I've ever heard, and it was loud too, like to the point to where it was right into the microphone, and I was like, I was standing
Wow.
by myself, and you guys were a whole like
We're on the
almost
other side of
floor
the
away.
building,
Yeah,
yeah.
I walked as far as I could away from everybody, so that was
That's cool.
weird. And we caught knocks on like the piano that was downstairs in the mess hall because they had that like roped off, and it was that whole place is just active as hell.
It's super active.
Mm.
That place is
Uh-huh.
insanely haunted.
I'd love to go back. I'd love to, just not in the winter.
What has been your favorite location that you've ever done?
It doesn't have to be paranormal.
Yeah, and
either.
it could
can
be
just be
the
like, I love
experience.
this.
Yeah, like you just love the place.
The Conjuring House.
Oh, that's a
yeah,
heavy one.
That's a good one.
Is it what they all say it is? Like, is it as crazy as what people make it out to be, or is it like some people have even told me it feels homey?
I enjoyed it. I didn't feel. I think I was just scared because of the stories and stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
But after being there for a while, I didn't feel scared there anymore.
yeah.
It
Your
did.
fight or flight wasn't like, "Get me the fuck out."
Right, yeah. We had some crazy stuff happen there. I went with some old friends a couple years ago. Yeah, it was really cool. We actually got to talk on the phone with Andrea while we were there,
Wow,
and the whole house came alive and stuff. It was really cool.
that's
Like it
super
recognized
awesome.
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, all our equipment, was going off while she
Yeah,
was
just
on the
Christmas
phone.
tree mode. Just
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah.
That's
It was
awesome.
pretty
That is
cool.
super cool.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I would
that
say
was pretty neat.
Eloise is one of my favorites. I wish we had a ton of personal experiences the last time we went as a
Right.
smaller group. I wish we would have
Yeah.
picked up more like substantial evidence than we did this time. But it
Mhm.
was very like a personal experience heavy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Everyone
There's
had
nothing wrong
like
with that though.
strange things happening.
Yeah.
But we went
Riley,
on
I
a
seen a
tour
shadow
yeah,
before.
figure
Riley
there.
saw a shadow there, and I did
And
not.
I forget what floor it is, but there's like a table with like a chessboard on it. I remember. I think it's the dementia floor. It might even be the floor below. But there's an old man on that floor, and he is a little creep. He
Pinched my wife's
he
butt.
pinched
Oh,
his
Punch.
wife's butt,
yeah.
and he
We
grabbed my
came
butt
across the
too.
creeper
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so you know exactly what spirit I'm
Yes,
talking
we got
about.
some
Yeah.
crazy stuff coming through the spirit box that didn't make any sense. I don't even
Yeah.
wish I could remember the phrase, but I'm
I was
listening
thinking
to it
about
and I'm
the
like,
bed.
I think we're picking up something weird because it was a very obscene phrase.
Yeah, where it's like this
Yeah.
is very obscure. Like radio
It was
doesn't say
very
that.
And he
obscene,
was saying like fondle and
and
like
we didn't
all
know the backstory until
weird
later. And then we put the pieces together. We're like, other people told us
Yeah.
what they got, and we're like, oh, we had the creeper.
Yep.
Did you guys get in the tub?
The
Yes.
tubs were
Well, the tubs aren't there now.
Yeah, they're not
They
there
got
now.
rid of them. I was probably one of the last
Oh,
people to lay in it.
yeah.
Then that's crazy.
that was where I
Candy and I got in the tubs when we were there a couple years ago. That was cool.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
they're
that was a
downstairs
different
now for the
feeling.
haunted house.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I after seeing pictures of the people that used to lay in them and how they put the blanket around their neck and like lay there, and it's like either like hot or cold, like whatever your preference was at that point, or the dude that burned himself alive basically from turning it up too hot in there. It's like, wow, this is almost depressing when you like lay down into it. Because it to me, it was like the darkness just creeped in and just like got almost
Yeah.
overwhelming. And it's like, this is weird. Like, I don't know if I believe that like it's not my brain doing it, but it's like felt weird.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Either
I
way, you're
remember.
imagining what somebody else went through, and it's deep. It's heavy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that's always intrigued me about the place is just the experiences of the people who were subjected to the place and lived there.
Well, look at it was the largest compound in America.
Mhm.
Like
It's
to this
huge,
day.
yeah.
It was massive, and there's only 6 buildings remaining of like the 50 that were, and it's like
Mhm.
that's insane. Like I'm sure there was so much more activity other than just that one building, which is 100% active as hell.
Yeah, and there's the tunnels and all
Mhm.
that too.
We didn't even get to do the tunnels. Did you guys get to experience that?
Nope.
No.
No, they had it closed down.
I don't think they let anyone down into the tunnels anymore.
Only the
honestly.
big ones,
No.
like the big channels. Is
Yeah,
what I've
unless
been
you got
Yeah.
a
hearing.
million subscribers.
Right. Like,
But then again, like I don't even know if we'd catch anything down there. I mean, granted, they probably did transport bodies here or there from the morgue or wherever they needed to from compound. But like still, it's like it's just a long hallway. Like maybe. But yeah, that was just one place that we didn't get to experience that. I heard that they did open it up for a little while. And it's like, wonder, maybe. See if
Hmm.
anybody had any experiences that we didn't. But it seems
Mhm.
like a lot of the same things that you guys experienced, we did too, which is super
Mhm.
awesome. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so validating.
Yeah, and I mean that's
Right.
why
I almost
girls
wish there was a
are crazy.
database where you could go and see the evidence everybody else has gotten someplace so you can like collaborate.
There's a $1 million idea. Do you know how hard it is to find some places, locations, and like get the history and the actual activity that they're having and not having to
Yes.
fly blind into some of these places where it's like,
Yes.
man, if I could just like go to one site, like it's a wiki, and it's like, all right, everybody can add their own like forum here. It's like,
that would be cool.
why
That's a
aren't
good
we doing
idea.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet,
I don't know
actually.
how to code. I wish I
Right.
did, because that sounds like a fucking $1 million idea.
Be great. Yes.
That'd be a really
Find
good
some
idea.
find some smart people who know how to do this kind of thing and
Yeah.
talk them into
Go,
it.
Spider, go, Spider. He's on the block. Shoot.
That's funny.
So, would you guys say that each of you has seen, say, a shadow figure in your own, like, in your own time investigating at any point?
Yes.
Shadow.
Really?
Yes.
I was like, because it's very rare, and like for myself personally, like I just recently had my first encounter with what I'm 99% positive was a smaller child's apparition, and it was like a black shadow figure moving from room to room at the Asher Walton house, and it was like,
Okay.
oh, like I wonder how realistically like frequent this is, because I've had a lot of people tell me no, and I've had a lot of people also be like, actually, yeah, I've had quite a few occurrences like this, so it's always super interesting to me.
I just think the reason it might be different is everyone has a different like empathic level, like what you were saying, Sarah. Like we
True.
all have that ability,
Yeah.
but like some people just have it a little more unlocked than others. So like now that you're doing more paranormal stuff and you're connecting with more spirits, like
Yeah.
your empathic energy is just
Mhm.
growing more and more, and you're able to experience more. You're able to see
Yeah.
more than you were before.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like spirits are able to imprint their emotions and things like that on you.
Right.
And that kind of leads me to like this question. Have you felt another spirit's emotions, like emotions that you knew were not your own? Like say you were
Yes.
like started crying and you couldn't figure out why, or you were sad,
Yes.
or way
Yeah.
too
You go
happy.
to a location, your mood changes drastically for no reason. Yes.
Yeah.
There are times when they make, well, what I've been connecting with more since I've been dealing more with, connecting with the deceased is they'll actually make me feel their death, or I'll get an,
Ooh,
Oh, that's
or I'll get an image of it. It's
yeah,
intense. It's very
I
intense.
bet.
intense.
Yeah. Like there was,
Man,
How do you like balance that? Like
can you turn it off?
right,
I,
like
Like,
because like
is there an
Clayton,
off switch?
yeah, well, as best as I can, I will say, when we went to Unruly, as soon as I
Mhm.
found out we were going to have the camera crew with us, one of the camera crew members' grandpa came through and was bugging me constantly. And I was like, girls, like, you gotta tell one of the guys, like, one of their relatives is coming through and I gotta tell them something. And I was like, that was the first time I've ever not been able to turn it off.
That's wild.
And he was just bugging me and
That's-
telling me to tell him certain things and tell
Yeah.
his mom this. And, I was able to pick out that his mother was the oldest of only, 3 other women. Like, there were certain things that it was just like, it's just weird. Like, how should,
Yeah.
like, I shouldn't rightfully know this, but he,
Right.
And it
he
had
had
been a
just
recent passing, hadn't it?
he had just passed a couple months prior to that.
Just prior
Yeah.
to that.
And
And
it
so it
doesn't
was
sound like
very
you're
heavy
using like
for the
deductive
guy.
reasoning either.
No.
Where it's
And
not like you're asking questions. It's like if this stuff is just falling out, where it's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
how do you know that?
yeah,
She hadn't even met the kid yet who had the message was
That's so
for. We
wild.
just knew that he was going to be joining us. We didn't.
But
She
then-
didn't even know
Yeah.
which of the 3 people with
That's-
us it was
yeah,
at
That's
first.
what I believe right there. And it's like sometimes you see on like the TV shows where it's like they're literally using deductive reasoning. Like if you ask like a crowd of 30 people, did somebody recently die in your family? One
Yeah.
of the 30 most likely did have
Yeah.
somebody pass away recently.
That's
But like
direct.
one-on-one interactions like that, it's like that is so genuine and crazy.
I knew who
Well-
it was when I saw him too. It was like, it's you. And it was just one of those
Mhm.
things where I was like, I know it's you. And
Gut feeling.
It's
yeah,
crazy too that like that spirit knew it was gonna have an opportunity to like
to
talk
communicate.
And it picked
Yeah.
you out too.
And it
It's like
picked
I
you
know
out
who to
because-
talk to.
Well,
Uh,
if you think of it like, I hate to say this, but like an aura, like you probably have like that spiritual
Yeah.
aura glowing. Glowing is the best way I could say.
I
it.
like how I said earlier to you,
Brighter
it's like
than
high
anyone else.
vibration. Like people that are at a higher vibration than others, they walk into a room and you can just see it light up.
Yeah.
Where it's like I do believe that if everything works on a frequency that we all probably don't know, it most likely is some type of vibration because everything in the world is moving. Atoms, molecules, everything down to building block.
That's what I consider it. Like, it's like a radio. It's like you tune the frequency to where you want to, what you want to hear. And it's kind
Yeah.
of tuning what the frequency in the channel is. And then sometimes you connect.
Yeah. And it might not be like I'm tuning it to hear what I want to hear. It's
No.
literally like, no, there's just literally hoopla. Like
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of crazy shit going on. That's what we always say too, is like the spirit box is like, yeah, you will hear radio, but you will 100% with definitive, like,
You
like
will
you will
know.
know
You will know when it's
when
a
it's
spirit.
not.
Like it's hard to miss.
If it's
really.
like
Mhm.
Trump and like, yeah, that's fucking radio. But if it's like I'm the devil on Good Friday, somebody's fucking with me. Like,
Right.
That is not what happened.
That's a spear with some personality right there. Sense of humor.
And that 100%. If like you guys go to Nunica anytime soon, talk to Bond. I think his name is William H. Bond, but we're pretty sure that's who is like the trickster there, and I'm pretty sure he's the guy that was like, "I'm the devil" at one of our last investigations while we were there. And then even this last time we were there, it seems like he was around and he was like trying to mess with things or like, like play with stuff here or there. It was weird. Like,
Is it
like
James Bond?
it's not James Bond.
Not-
No.
No, because I've seen James before.
Really?
Hmm.
Oh,
I
wow.
think when we looked it up, it was William. His name like through time, like they called him a different thing because I don't know. Sometimes people named William are also called Chuck. I don't know why.
Was
It's
it
like
Jimmy?
there's weird things like that all over the place. But I mean, like we looked it up and there was like a history line where you could follow his tree where he's like served in Civil War. All right, that matched up like the things that
Yeah,
we're
because I think it
getting.
was
And then
James. I think,
it
if I
might have been,
remember
honestly.
correctly.
There's a whole family plot, I believe, of the Bond
Yeah,
family.
and then the headstone it literally just says Bond, so it's like you got to do some digging. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
That's not a person.
Joel.
stone.
But
His
it's
name
the-
was
it's the
Joel.
family
Joel,
plot.
Joel, that's it. Yes, Joel.
I had to go through
Joel.
the
Joel.
notes
The
from
Jamie.
that time.
Yes,
See,
Joel
we had to
Bond.
dig. It's not just readily available.
Right? I had
My
to go to
brain
a
didn't
previous
lead me in the right
conversation where
path.
we talked about it and search.
We do
Joel
that
Bond,
so
yes.
often too, where it's like,
He
no,
is,
dude, I
he
know I
has
said
shown
this to you
himself a
before.
couple times to me.
Interesting. Nice.
We got a
What's
little bit
the
of
name of the
activity when
serial
we went
killer?
last summer from him.
Oh, I
Yep.
got it.
Hmm.
So there's a crazy story that you might not know about, but it's from Grand Haven. It kind of relates to Lake Forest Cemetery. It's the story of Frederick H. Holman, and he potentially was America's first serial killer, even predating like H.H. Holmes.
And Jack the Ripper, if like
Whoa.
if the time frame matches up. But his family is said to be buried at Lake Forest, and then he was executed in Indiana.
No,
But wasn't
Illinois.
Illinois? That's what it was. Different eyed place.
They're the same, aren't they? I'm
They're
kidding.
they're lower than us. We're up here. That's all I know. I don't ever go that south usually. But yeah, so it's like I almost wonder if spirits are transient. If we could communicate with the first serial killer, that I would think actually, if everything lines up, which everything that we've read and has actual like history ties to it, he would predate everybody that did do it before him or didn't do it before him because he was the first.
Right.
But it's like that's interesting. It's like I didn't know that any of this history is here until one random day we dug the deepest I think we've ever went on Wiki until it was like, oh, who are the most prolific serial killers in Michigan? And then it just so happens that it's like, why does nobody know about this guy?
Yeah, there's a book
Huh.
on him called The Forgotten Serial Killer.
Mhm. And then you
But
wonder like how
how
much
do you
of
think
this
it's
is
first
buried.
serial killer? I
Like
mean,
first,
wouldn't you
like how to not like how do I
recorded.
say like recorded serial killer. So it
Right.
probably happened a lot
Right.
before him too,
So
but like in
before
in
people could put
account-wise.
pieces together?
Yeah, before
Yeah.
like the first
Mhm.
like article where it's like Jack the Ripper kills again, where it's like I'm pretty sure homie was strangling women on farms like before that happened too, which he was and he was put to death for it. So it's like,
Wow.
ooh, shit.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's like that's
he's a
all the
really
history that's
interesting
buried around
story
here.
that no one really knows about.
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah,
we did an episode on him where we talked
that's so
about
weird.
all of his history, and I have investigated Lake Forest Cemetery to try and talk to him, but I didn't really get anywhere with it. Didn't really actually ever have any evidence at Lake Forest Cemetery, even though people say that it is haunted by the Ferry family. I'm not
Yeah,
so sure.
I never got anything from there either.
Guess we're gonna have to try again.
Yeah, I've never been
Yeah,
there.
that's what we say too. Is like I don't get that discouraged
When we
if I
going?
don't get something.
Next
It is
week.
a cool cemetery though. Lake Forest is
Mhm.
massive. I think it's like the
It is
biggest
huge.
cemetery I've ever been in. Like, and it's even bigger. They just bought 5 more acres or
Is
something.
it
like
really?
that.
Oh, wow.
Holy hell!
They're planning on
And you can't tell
expanding, I
me that's
guess.
not a
Wow.
battery.
Right. I have a hard
Right.
time believing that cemeteries are not haunted. Like,
Me
it's-
too.
It just makes so much sense to me that like if you really want to experience something paranormal, go to the cemetery.
Right.
You're probably
The
go
amount of
enough times,
emotions
something
that
could happen.
run
I
through those
know. That's
places
what I was
is
gonna say.
it's incredible.
It's a lot of times it's maybe not even the spirits, it's the emotion of the people who
The
are
visit.
Visit,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
create that
Because it
amped
seems like when I
you know.
pass, I don't want to hang out on my gravesite because that part
No,
always seemed weird
Right.
to me.
No.
no, it's the
But
little create that.
if I wanted to go to a place where I would hope somebody I cared about came to, I would probably hang out there hoping to see
Yeah, I
them.
feel like, yo, meet me when you go.
And
All
I think
right.
that's what it is
Right.
a lot
Right.
of times. Is like the legend of Emily at Nunica Cemetery.
Yeah.
People say all the time that she's looking for her parents, and that's why she's there.
Mhm.
She did. No one knows who this Emily
Yeah.
girl is. She doesn't even. There is no child Emily
Mhm.
at that cemetery. At
Right.
all. The grave that everyone thinks is hers is an 87-year-old woman.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's like this girl Emily, who we believe has told us that she died in a car crash, is confused because she knows her parents are dead by now. So she's hanging out where she knows that they're buried, but can't
Yeah.
ever find them.
I feel like we get a lot of children spirits at cemeteries, which
that's
is super unfortunate because that actually seems to be a trend where it's like maybe they are
That's
lost
sad.
and they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
probably
we
are
do.
like stuck in a loop of trying to find comfort, which is
Yeah.
Mhm.
technically crossing
Mm.
over at that point, I would think.
Do you think the living have the ability to like help spirits cross over? Is that even like
Totally, yeah.
I think so.
Because we had an experience actually at Eloise, which is
Mhm.
kind of weird, where yeah, there was
Yeah.
a spirit that kind of seemed like they wanted to go, and yeah, just kind of told them if they wanted to go, they could at that point.
Yeah.
They
I
could
mean,
buy
like, who's to say that if you're not like, hey, like it's many years past what you think it is, and it's like, let me leave you with this solace, like it's okay,
right,
or like you're being friendly, and it's like that's all they needed, like
just a
Mhm.
little bit of comfort, yeah.
just the little push. That's
Uh-huh.
maybe all it needs.
see, there's a side of me too as a paranormal investigator. It's like you almost don't want to help spirit because you don't want someone to
Like,
not
"Oh,
have
wait,
an
wait,
experience.
come back."
You want to leave the experience.
Like,
with
hold on,
someone
tell
else.
me everything.
No,
Right.
but at that point, if they're residual, I mean, they're always sadly going to be
They're
Yeah.
always gonna be there. Yeah.
them is able to maybe pass on. I think a lot of spirits get stuck in that kind of like loop at that
Right.
Yeah.
It's about being
I
mindful of
almost
where you
wonder
are
if
and who
it's
you're
like
speaking to.
Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think it
Right.
could be like that? Like, as terrible as that is, where it's like, do you think if you lived like your most happy day of your life, and you're like, I'm living that day for the rest of my life, like I can choose in my
I think
death, I can choose whatever I want to do, and I'm gonna live this loop because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Which, granted, I'm not gonna live in Eloise Asylum because it was not the best day that ever happened to me. But I mean, it makes me wonder sometimes where it's like, what's the deciding factor? Where it's like, if these spirits are very transient and then come and go as they please, are they coming back just to be like, I'm checking it out? Why not? Like I can, like I have eternity. And if reincarnation's real, are they scoping out what's happening now? And they're like, all right, I feel like now is the time to jump back in. Like that's the craziest part is all these theories could be real. That's the most fun part about
the
it.
best part about paranormal is you don't know. No one has the answer. No
Right.
one will ever have the
Yeah.
answer.
Yep.
That's my
There's
favorite
no
part. And
experts,
it's like
right?
the internal.
No,
Exactly. There's no experts.
You're
we're all
experts
amateurs.
for nothing.
We're all expert amateurs. That's where we're experts at. Do you guys believe in like reincarnation or like say like a heaven and a hell, or like do you think that like say where spirits reside is just the afterlife and there's not like these two crazy drastically different planes of existence? And I'm not like yucking nobody's religious yums because like that's everybody is entitled to their own opinion and I'm not hating on it.
I think it depends on your consciousness and what your consciousness has been through at that point.
Mhm.
My opinion, I guess. Like, how have you lived your life is, maybe going to be, that's how your afterlife is going to be. If you spent
Yeah.
your life in pain and anguish, it's like your afterlife is probably going to be that way as well.
Yeah, it's
Who's
probably
to
all
say
you've
Valid.
known.
heaven or-
Valid.
Yeah. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. Or
No, yeah,
people
we-
say like we live in hell now. Like
No,
we are.
we always say
Yeah.
if you were an asshole in life, you're gonna be a asshole.
We say
in
that
your
too.
death.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not every cranky
is
old
real.
man spirit's a demon. It's just a cranky old man.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. It is so funny to me that like it's definitely
People are
died out
monsters
now.
too. Let's not forget.
But like until
Right.
I'm proven wrong, like I'm gonna ride the like that hard fence where it's like I don't know if it's real, I don't know if it's not. If demons are real, then you can prove it to me and you have credible evidence. I will probably like sway towards that because that's cool. But I really don't have any credible evidence
Demons
yet.
are cool.
I mean,
Encountered
the
one.
story of it is wild, but it's like I'd rather stay skeptical than say no or yes at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Open-minded. It's an
Yeah.
important part
I've
of it.
never
Yeah.
an encounter. There was like a dark entity at one of the residentials we did one time, and
Mhm.
find out it was somebody who existed in life, who had mental illness and was bipolar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The duality within them, and that kind of created this darkness that
Right.
showing itself to the house or to the person who owned the house.
Yeah.
So that type of thing. But yeah, no demons.
Yeah. I still to this day, it's like I've definitely felt malicious entities, but I don't know if I can classify anything as a demon. And not only that, like some of these growls and things that we're hearing, Creepy Confidential, Noelle, she's G, love her. She she said it, Rainbow Bridge and the Fur Babies. What if we're just seeing like animals? Or like hearing these like spirits of these animals too? Because there's nothing saying that you don't get everything that is alive has a spirit, I'm probably guessing. There's only so many things that you can
We-
tell me that there's not.
We have evidence coming up in one of our future videos here where I think this guy who was raising foxes, I believe we caught an EVP of a ghost fox.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah, so
We
it's
had-
like I truly believe it.
We did a home residence one time where there was some weird activity happening. People kept feeling stuff rushing by their legs, and the motion detectors are going off in a certain place. And after investigating for a long time, we believe that it was the spirit of a dog. And we were said, "Is like, did you have a dog in the house at some point?" Because everything is
Oh,
pointing
yeah.
towards, like, it acts like a dog. Like we felt like something like pawing at us. It was very different.
Yeah, and it's
And
like
they're like,
I don't
"Our
think a
dog
person's
just
doing this.
passed."
That's
Their
crazy.
dog had just passed, and
Yeah, that's
they're like,
crazy
he used to
'cause-
run through here all the time. That was his zone, and that was
That
what
was
we
his track,
experienced. That was
yeah.
crazy.
When
That's
I first
cool.
moved into this house, I didn't have my cat buttons yet.
Oh yeah, shit.
And I had a friend over who knew I'd never owned a cat in my life, was over, and I went to the bathroom and I came back out, and she was like, "When did you get a cat?" And I was like, "What are
What?
you talking about? I don't have a cat. I've never had a cat."
Yeah.
She goes, "Dude, I literally just seen one run into the back room. Like it just
wow.
was there and it ran into the back room. And then literally like 2 or 3 days later, I seen the fucking cat myself. And,
Cool.
and I was like, do I have a ghost cat? And now
Good.
I lay my cat balls that I have for paranormal investigating all around my house so my cat can play with them when I'm not using them. And they go off by themselves all
Yeah.
the time now.
It's wild.
I
So
have
think
ghost chickens in my
if my
backyard,
house
so
is
anything's
haunted,
possible.
Right.
chickens? Ghost
Are they
chickens?
clucking at you?
No, so when we first moved in, my son kept telling us, he was 6 or 7 years old. He kept telling us that there were chickens in the backyard, and we're like, yeah, okay. And he's had lots of different experiences over time, and at first it's just like, okay, that's pretty cool. And he's like, one day he's like, no, Mom. He used to make jokes about chickens. It was a big thing for him. So at first we just kind of played it off as a kid thing. And then one day he's like,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, Mom, they're like really chickens in our backyard. They're chickens in our backyard. Like, I don't know. And it was sometime later, I was going through the Muskegon Informed, the history Facebook page from Muskegon,
Yeah.
and they were posting the history of the street I live on, and my house used to be a poultry farm.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
He knew.
That's so wild.
So okay, there were ghost chickens. So whatever.
Out of everything that could get haunted by, chickens.
Chickens.
Like chickens. I guess this is where we're at today.
Yeah.
That's really funny, actually. I'm not gonna lie. That's so interesting. I know growing up, we in my family home, we lived in front of a sawmill, and the sawmill actually burned down probably when I was like, yeah, I had to have been like 15 or so. And then for when I was 15 till I was about 20. I lived there, and I'd go back there every now and again, and it's sometimes you would think you would hear the sound of like that big saw that was as big as you going cutting logs and stuff, and it's like, am I just crazy? I was like, is this echoes of past things happening?
No, that's residual like evidence right there.
Yeah,
Like,
but I never had put it in like two together until it's like, oh, now I do ghost things. And like that might have been weird. So it's like,
That's
yeah, like
cool.
things in backyards can definitely be weird. Like
Mhm.
just one of those things where it's like, just because there's a house on it now or a Walmart now, it doesn't mean that back in the day it wasn't something different, completely different.
Right.
Exactly.
that's so true.
So I always say, like, if I ever got the opportunity to investigate a haunted Walmart, you know I'm in there. It's like, I don't know what was here before, but like, who's ever investigated Walmart?
I
Nope,
seen
I
a
did.
TikTok. I think it was
No.
Paranormal Files. So like he put out something about like an actual haunted like Walmart because it was built on like an old orphanage or
That's so
something like
wild.
that, and it
That's
like
so
had a
wild.
flood,
Yeah.
and like everyone in the flood died, and
Oh my god.
like they tore it down and built a Walmart on top of it years and years later. And
Wow.
I've always
And
wondered
And you
what
know that it
happens to a
probably it's
spirit
like
after
a
the place
hornet's
is gone.
nest. Yeah,
Like
I
the
could
bar I
only
used to
imagine
work
that
they're
at.
attached to the
Where's that
land.
ghost? Is he still hanging out in the parking lot where the bar used to be, or where does he
That's a
now?
good question.
Should
Or
I
is it
investigate the
it's like
parking lot?
something in there? Yeah, like was it
Let's
something
go.
in the building or was it the
Right.
building? That's the weird part. Or these roads. Like
Right.
people will say that they've investigated
Haunted
roads.
roads.
Like Ghost Bros did a really good investigation and
Shout
they
out
caught
Ghost
some
Bros.
crazy stuff. Shout out Ghost
Yeah.
Bros. And they did like just a random road that I was like, I don't know what to expect with this. Like I would assume that if they're gonna make a video that something happened. But then when I watched it, I was like, this is
That-
weird.
that
Like this
actually-
is really weird.
It's like an 8-minute video, but the evidence they caught just sitting in their car on this road was actually crazy.
Yeah, and then it makes you wonder, like, is it the location or is it the items? Is
Right.
it both? It's probably
could be
both,
both,
but
yeah.
I need to know.
The way I think about it is kind of like the stone tape theory. Like you have all these rocks, minerals, and earth, and then
Fossil
it's
fuel.
attached to the building, which is also made from elements from the earth. Like all this energy, it's gonna, get released and get trapped. So if the building goes down, all of the dust, all that energy from it falling, like it gets pushed down or spread out or whatever. Like of course, like even if something isn't there, like if there's a spirit attached to that property or that location,
Yeah.
like no matter what's there, they're gonna haunt it.
Mhm.
And that's why you might see like a ghost walk through walls because when they were
Wall
alive,
wasn't
there wasn't
there.
a wall there.
Mhm.
Yeah. True.
Or why they look really tall. Maybe the level of the floor was higher or lower, or like
Or
those
what if
kinds of
it's time
things.
travel stuff? Like
Yeah, that's a
there
whole nother.
like the theory of time is always wild to me because it's like, what if when we see these figures like going through places or like in spots that we're like, oh my god, I just saw a figure. Well, yeah, it might have been an apparition of a spirit, but who's to say that it's not literally just the overlapping of that time frame
A
on
bleed
our
through.
time frame, and yeah, and it
Mhm.
just bled through, and we
Yeah.
just saw it really quick in passing, and yeah, it's paranormal for sure. Like, there's no questioning that, but maybe it's different from what we're perceiving it as.
Right.
Because, like, I don't know. Like, I love to think
Crazy
that it's
to
all
think both.
spiritual, but also, like, where's the logic in it? Like, there has to be
Yep.
some type of like proof that it's like your spirit does this. Especially like I always love using this example because the
Yeah.
Creepy Confidential did her podcast is amazing because she did this episode where it was what is the weight of a soul basically.
Yeah.
And it was 21 grams or 23 grams. I can't
23,
remember.
I
I
believe.
think it was 23 too. But it's like every time somebody
Creepy, let us know
expired,
if we're right or wrong.
yeah, 23 grams left somebody's body. Okay, well then what is that? Is that energy being created? Is that energy leaving? Is that what spirits are doing? Is creating their own energy? Or is it already here? Like how he was saying, like, is it already just in the gram? Yeah,
21.
21 grams. I read that while I was trying to say it. It's like, I don't
21.
know. It's like,
It's like your consciousness. I don't know. It has energy at that point. I mean, that's how we
Yeah.
see things, because
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
if the laws of like how thermo like dynamics and everything work, it's like we can't physically create energy. Like, but is
Energy
that
doesn't just die. Yeah.
manifesting? Yeah, is the manifesting
You
of a
can. If
spirit?
you were to rub your hands
Well, yeah,
long
but
enough, you could actually create enough friction energy to burn yourself.
well, true. But it's like I almost wonder though if it's like electricity probably in general because that's
since
what.
we're talking about this,
Oh God, I would think that's
So-
what spirits are, is electricity.
any of you three ladies been scratched
I
or seen someone get scratched or know
Seen,
about
yeah.
scratch
I've
and stuff?
seen, yeah.
I've got
Okay.
bruises before, but that's about it.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's interesting.
That is interesting.
That seems a little
So,
more aggressive than what
I
we
have
think.
this
Yeah.
theory that I've been putting out there for quite a while now. Mostly, I came up with this theory because there was a big trend on YouTube, kind of like there is right now with the demon stuff, but like every creator was getting scratched, right?
Mm.
And they were saying it was demonic and all of this. Well, we talked about earlier how people are monsters themselves. Like all these places are murderers, like they did terrible things to people, tortured people, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what if it's not always something evil? Like say
You
you're
flip it and
talking
reverse
to
it.
like a little kid and it's trying to like touch you or whatever.
Mhm.
Like if a spirit is energy and they release energy to touch you, like if you think about it this way, if you
You
like I said,
strip a
rub-
wire
if
down.
you rub your hands together long enough to create enough energy to burn yourself, if you put your hand over a candle long enough, it'll burn you
Yep.
because of the energy released in the heat. Same thing if you like do something electrical, like
Electrical
if you
burns will look
electrical
like
yourself,
scratches.
electrical burn can look like a scratch.
Interesting.
So what if the spirit reaching out and touching you is releasing all of this
And it's not
energy
bad.
Right.
and it's leaving a mark on you because it's releasing so much electrical energy? Like as paranormal investigators, everything we do is based off electrical energy. EMF
Mhm.
detectors, REM pods, spirit box, like
Yeah, and even with bruising too, I almost wonder if it's like the
dense
manifestation
enough,
of
it is,
energy.
like-
Yeah, it's like squeezes too hard instead of it coming out as like a scratch or like that. It's a bruise.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't know if I can think it's all malicious.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Bruce
I,
might-
I didn't feel like it was like a malicious thing. Like when it happened,
Yeah,
where the heck did this come from? And it was like two.
yeah. Like I didn't walk into a wall, did I?
I remember that. I just remembered where that happened.
It was
Yes.
it was two hand marks on both of my wrists where it was like, where did this come from? And I think
Right.
it was around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heightened things going on for me personally.
So how a lot of heightened emotion for youth in that spot who were in crisis.
Yeah,
So
and that makes you wonder, like, if somebody grabbed, or if like an entity grabbed, it's like, well, we don't know how it transfers energy. Like we were just saying, like,
Right.
what if it's just too heavy at that point and you get bruises, but you don't physically
Mhm.
feel it?
Right.
they didn't know the amount of energy it would take to affect somebody, so they put too much into it. And
Right.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly. Those-
Truth at that
I
point, yeah.
hate to do this, but I have to get to log off. So I will.
You
Oh,
are
you're totally
fine.
fine.
Hi,
You're totally
Sondra.
Time to put kids to bed.
My wife is
Bye.
graciously doing that for us, so I completely understand.
My husband's up there trying, but I can hear they're fighting back. So
Oh,
Not
the
going
fight is
well.
real. I always say it's like dealing with a terrorist, where it's like I don't like
Yes.
negotiating with terrorists, but I
right,
have to.
exactly. There are domestic terrorists upstairs right now.
It's like if I'm Homeland Security, we're in for a load of trouble right now.
Thank you guys.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we
We'll
appreciate
see you, Sandra.
Man, that's the hardest thing though, is like, do you guys think that a lot of the times that we see these videos of other people getting like these touches and these scratches, it's most likely probably not what we think it is? Because I don't want to say like I don't believe people, but I also am like, I wonder if we're just misconstruing it. Because I
That's
definitely
my
am.
thing.
That's where I'm at, where it's like if I'm misrepresenting something and it's coming across wrong, like don't be an asshole and put me in my place. Be like, hey, what about this?
Right.
Oh, I didn't even have that thought. Thank you.
because we misinterpret
A
evidence
lot.
all the time, all the time,
Yeah.
and we don't realize it till later. In the moment, you don't make that connection every time.
That's the best part of the paranormal community. Is like everybody that watches this, everybody that is watching, everybody that's gonna watch this later. It's just an extra set of eyes. Where it's like if I missed it or if I looked at it wrong and you saw it differently, like tell me. Like it's not gonna hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all
Yeah.
in this together. Let's figure it out
I think
together.
that's like one of my favorite things about putting out videos for people to watch in the paranormal is like, yes, you get the validity
That
of people
satisfaction.
watching your content, but like on top of that, someone's probably going to notice something that you didn't notice.
Exactly.
That's the funnest part. Is you go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I caught that. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Like
watch it
Snap
back
Reactor
later.
pointed out, which we weren't gonna say anything in the video because we were like, we don't know if this is what we think it is. And he pointed out, well, looks like a hand come around at the Asher Walton house when the door is jiggling. He's like, looks like a hand comes around the door. And I was like, we looked at that for hours and we were like, I can't definitively say it's a yes, me, so I don't want to just point it out and then have everybody say something. But exactly what we wanted to happen happened, where somebody pointed it out. And it's like, well, now there's a little more credibility here, where if somebody completely different from us editing it watched that and saw that, then it's not just our imaginations.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a good strategy to have sometimes too, is if you notice something, don't even point it out and see if other people notice it. Because if
I love it to be
you know,
interpreted, where it's like, leave it up for
exactly.
interpretation. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially like in the moment, sometimes you don't even notice something that's happening right in front of you. Like it could as paranormal investigators, we'd load a room with like electronics and all these different devices. You can't keep your eye on all of them.
No.
It's
Right.
impossible. So like you'd be facing this way, and the cat, like 6 cat balls behind you are just going crazy, and you have no idea.
Yeah, it seems to happen a lot too, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's this. I'm trying to remember if it was like a story about like a burning building, and everybody's viewing the burning building from a different perspective. Well, everybody's
Yeah.
that burning building and recall different details, but they're all looking at the same thing. So it's kind of like, you know what I
That's
mean?
a
Like,
really
yeah,
really good picture to paint too, where
uh-huh,
it's like you might be on 3 different sides of it and everybody sees something
yeah,
different from that side, but it's all the same thing.
yes,
Like, I love
mm-hmm.
that. Like, that is so elegantly put. I love that.
Yeah, I really love that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use that.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's so funny to me because it's like we're all using the same cookie cutter like sheet, where it's like we're all just baking different cookies. We're
Right.
like we might all like try different ingredients here or there, but like at the end of the day, we're all literally like trying to figure out what the afterlife is and what is happening. Like,
And
why are we seeing this stuff?
Yes.
I think my favorite part is like learning stories of people that you never would have ever connected with in your life. Like obviously they've been gone for, however many years, but like you actually are talking to this person,
Yeah.
and then they lived so long ago and it's such a different time. And
Right.
like it's just so cool to me. Like if the paranormal, is a real thing, which I believe it is,
If it is.
like the ability to talk
I like
to the past is like the coolest thing you could possibly ever do, in my opinion. Like,
Mhm.
as someone who like, went to raves and stuff for so long, and then like now this has become like my favorite pastime to go do. Like this is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like,
so much cooler
how
to
do you
know all
guys
that stuff.
address spirits? Like, do you walk into places and do you like hello, like I'd like to speak with you, or is it like, is there somebody here? Because I've found a lot more times that we've been like, hey, come here, like can I have a hug? Like,
Right.
let's reason right now. I want to hear your story. We get way more evidence than it's like, is there anybody here right now? Preach.
Yeah.
Like, do tricks. Like, yeah, it seems
Want to be treated at that
like when
point.
you're being reasonable with somebody who I would assume that they probably are like, I'm dead, but I'm not dead, you idiot. Like, I'm here still. Like, I'm a person, but I'm still a person.
Don't make me flick you in the eyeball.
Pretty much. Like that's how I've started to approach it. And I feel like we've caught so
Yeah.
much more
I
like
feel like
credible
the
stuff because
more
of
like
it.
genuine you are to the spirit, the more they're willing to like open up with you and
Yeah,
let
it's just
you
like
experience their
respect,
energy,
homie.
And like maybe from like a median side, you can like even elaborate on that more. Even like
I feel like that's
is
where
it
it connect like
do,
mediums
do
connect
spirits
more
like
like that.
connect with people that are more like respectful to them, like a living human would be? Do you find, or
So I mean, anybody I think could pick up on things at that point. It's you got to have respect though. At that point, like I go into it basically being open-minded, not having like a lot of times when we go into places, I either have maybe seen pictures and told them what I picked up on, but I like to go in like clear with no sort of
Yeah.
any background or anything like that, and then leave it open
Yeah, and then just feel the place out.
wants to communicate because I always go in with the intention of trying to help. Like that's why I do what I do because I feel like the living here need to have a grieving process, and the
Yeah.
dead also need to go through their grieving process as well.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even think
yeah,
about
True,
that.
true.
Like, who's to
yeah,
say that once you pass on, like you're still going to be going through grief because it's like oh, now I can't communicate with people that I was regularly communicating with. And if I can, it's very scarcely.
Yes.
And I can only watch from afar like a
Mm.
voyeur. And
I
it's
can't
like,
even
whoa.
imagine how
Like mostly symbols. It's like I feel like I'm playing charades most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Where it's like,
Mm.
I would probably think that I would be pretty like anxious or grief like stricken because I'd be like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't have the answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shoot. Now my brain is like racked on that.
Yeah, and think about like if you were a spirit, like how emotional you would be that you're not alive, like the people you're like.
Yeah, or if you went
seeing.
on like terms that you weren't cool.
That's not
Where it's like, yeah, that's
it. There's unresolved business typically. Like a lot of the residentials we've done, a lot of the communication is, between the deceased and then the one who's living, and it's like there's things they need to work out. Still,
That's crazy. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever experienced two spirits speaking to each other? And like
ooh,
like
Candi.
we experienced like
we have this
something like
documented
that.
actually. So when we were at the Asher Walton house, we believe Asher Walton's voice come through say, "Do you know I love you?" is what he said.
Aw.
It was spaced out just a little bit. And then the Spirit Talker app said window, which is
Mhm. Where his wife Julia
relates
would
to the
frequent.
legend of the house is that everyone says that they see Julia's spirit in the
Waiting for-
window.
Mm,
Oh,
And she died before him, actually, and he lived out his life in the house.
mm.
So we believe he was using our tool to not talk to us,
To talk to
but
her.
talk to his wife. Because as soon as we ran over to the window, a woman's voice, we can't make out what she said, came
But it
through
was
the
very
spirit
feminine,
box.
yeah.
Wow.
And then right after that, that's when it sounded like the same voice that we believed to be Mr. Asher was like pretty much told whatever dark entity was with us, because on the Spirit Talker it said Reaper, and then it was like leave on the spirit box.
Other way around.
Or
oh
yeah, I
wow.
flipped it. Yeah,
It
I
said
flipped it.
leave now, and then it said Reaper.
Yeah, and it's like, so did we just confirm that homie was talking to his wife? He was not. He was in the room with us, and we heard him come through because it was just picking it up. And then when we go over there, he sees something in the other realm that we don't see that probably is with us, because we've gone to locations where we've gotten things like that before.
And uses our voice to either warn us about it and to
In order to
put it
ward
off.
it off away from his wife, who's most likely standing in front of the window. Because there's no doubt in my mind that that window too was the window, because it was right off of this beautiful like curved staircase right there. It looked right out onto the like right onto down Main Street, and their bedroom was 2 bedrooms down there, and then the rest of the
Yeah.
rooms up there were like children's rooms and whatnot, and the children would play right there. So it's like all the signs line up, 100% do, and it was really interesting to hear it play out the way it did.
Yeah.
Wild.
That wasn't something we figured out till after we'd gone through the
And
investigation.
we started
and we were
digging
like,
a little deeper every
oh
now
my
and
gosh, that the I love you thing means more. Because we thought he was talking to us.
Yeah, I was
'cause we
like,
were
I
being,
love you,
so
homie.
genuine and nice. We're like, "Oh, I love you too, Ghosty." And like, no,
That
he
come
don't
find out,
care
it was
about us
not
at all. He was
Oh,
not
wow.
about
He looked right through us.
it. Yeah. It's like,
And it's the
That's
same
cool.
house that we had a door move and a water bottle get knocked off the counter. So there's no doubt in my
Oh,
mind that that
cool.
place is active too.
yeah, I love that place. Shout out.
That is such a cool place.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that is like one of the cleanest places I've ever investigated.
Oh my gosh, we did it barefoot.
We walked in there and I was like, "Are we supposed to take our shoes off?" And he was like, "You guys can do what you want." And I was like, "I can be barefoot?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "This is literally a mansion. I'm going barefoot."
Yes, you can go barefoot. It's so cool.
Yeah, I was like laying on the
Yes.
beds and I was like kicking my feet up. And I was like, "Dude,
Yes.
I have not been this comfy on an investigation in a really long time."
Exactly.
Like rolling on the floor, and then like the like objects in the case that they have too. It's like, this
Oh my
place is
gosh.
so interesting.
It really is.
Like the dolls themselves
Bell
are like
Witch
Oh my
doll.
yeah, we
gosh.
held
Bell
the
Witch
Bell
cave
Witch cave doll.
Like, I can't believe I held that.
So
doll.
cool.
We gave her a little like good luck, like don't
Oh
kill
my
us.
God.
But it's
That's
just
funny.
like, what other places are you gonna be able to find the history or like crazy stories like that where they just have these items? It's like, nah, man,
Yeah.
like that's so random for it to be there.
Right, right.
And it wildly has a weird connection with our like upcoming future too. That
Oh, yeah.
we decided to go there, and then shortly after that, I booked a team called POV Paranormal from Ohio, and they're the lead team at the Post Town Elementary School, where
I
the
love
Asher
it.
Walton house has a doll from
Yep.
that elementary school. So it was
Nice,
weird that we
nice.
booked this place.
That's
I booked them. They're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go live from the Post Town Elementary like
When we come
doll
on.
room when we come on, and I was like, dude, I'm about to go to the Asher Walton house where one of your dolls is at this
Yeah,
house.
it was
Like,
such a
what
That's
wild
awesome.
coincidence.
Nice little synchronicity.
I love Post Town.
Yeah, I get to actually go to Post Town on October 21st for their paranormal like con that they're doing, that they're having put on there, and I'm so excited because
Yeah,
everybody
so
says this place is amazing.
so if you plan on going to that, half of What Goes Bump tonight would be there.
I got bit by one of their skeleton dogs there. No,
What?
no shit. They have got a Halloween decoration. It's a
Mhm.
skeleton dog, just a plastic skeleton dog, and it was on a glass case in their big room, and I've got a picture of its mouth, and it was closed. I took a picture of it because it was cute, and its mouth was closed, and I was working on some equipment like a couple feet away from it, and I gave up working on the equipment. I sat down, or no, I was working on the equipment, and I was talking to the team, and I could feel like a bite mark on the fat of my elbow.
Oh my
And I thought,
god.
and I thought, what the heck? And I looked over, I thought, what? And then I looked over, and now its mouth is wide open. I kid you not, its mouth is wide open. I thought, what
What?
the fuck? It bit me. And I thought, what? And so I'm thinking, okay, I thought that's so weird. So I give
That's
up on
weird.
working on the equipment. I sit down at the table with the rest of the team, and we're doing some EVP work and stuff. About half an hour later, the dog leaps off of the table. We were
My
Facebook Live at the time. We didn't catch it leaping off the table, but you can hear it like scraping on the glass table, and it
What?
like leaps off of the table, and it lands like 4 feet away from the table. And one of the
Oh my
girls
god.
gets up from the table and just walks over, picks it up, and goes and puts it back on the table.
Nothing happened. It's fine.
Right, exactly. And this
that
was
didn't
her
happen. That
first
didn't happen. Rewind,
investigation.
rewind.
What
I
balls of
I think
steel?
it was crazy. It scared the living shit out of me because it just
I
made like a
bet.
huge crashing sound. So I leaped up out of my chair onto the table,
Oh my
and
goodness.
yeah, but it bit me.
That's
It,
insane.
it was it was
That's so
crazy.
insane.
Wow.
It was so crazy. Yes, I got bit by a plastic dog.
You know what even makes that more wild is the fact that it's an elementary school. What are kids
Right,
very known to do is fuck around.
right.
What?
Yeah, it was
Damn.
crazy.
That's
Yeah, so
insane.
that's my story.
Wow.
That's
So-
one of the craziest things I've heard in a long time, to be honest. Bit by a
Yeah.
plastic paranormal puppy. What's
Yeah, I
up?
know, right?
Before we
Yeah.
wrap up things tonight, I have Sarah. I know you went. I don't know if you went, Candi. Paracon in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Yeah, we
Y'all met Project Fear. What are they like?
Yes.
Are they like everything that I want them to be?
They're-
Yes. They're
uh,
amazing.
that was like such an experience. And then like
Really?
right the line to chat with them, Dakota Layden was like, "You're back," and I'm like, "I'm back? What?"
You
He's-
remember me?
I'm like, "You're like you've been here. This is your second year, right?" I'm like, "This is my first year." What? Oh my god!
That's
That's
crazy.
wild.
To have homie walk up to
Think
you
he knows
too.
you.
Yeah, and then just
Yeah,
start a
he's like,
conversation.
"You look
That's
really
crazy.
familiar," and I'm like, "Well, okay."
Well, you
In your
see,
dreams.
you honest to God, you kind of look like his sister, just a little bit. Like, you know what I mean?
Like Chelsea.
Just a little bit. You look just a little bit like Chelsea. I bet you that's where he's like drawing the parallels from for sure. But it like that's crazy. And
Yeah.
like I definitely like going to like the smaller cons like that, it's awesome to like
I
get
wouldn't
to.
even say that's a small con, bro.
No,
That's
not
a
like
big.
not.
Oh, I mean,
I'm
seriously,
saying like Ghostorama.
Isn't it like it was like their 13th year or something
it
like
was-
that?
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like, what I've experienced, like Ghostorama was really small, but it's like, what was it like to get to like see that many people that are also of the same backgrounds now? I guess is
uh,
probably the best
It
way,
was
and then like
so
get to just
cool.
like
Like-
mingle with everybody.
it was life changing for me. Just my personal experiences. Wow, that's all I can say about that. It was just some of the experiences I had with some of the like minds I met there,
Yeah,
some of the mediums I talked with, and then my experiences with Andrea Pierce were
cool.
life changing.
That is
I
so
bet.
cool.
That's-
Yeah.
We're going to the one at. Is it? I think it's Soaring Eagle.
Yeah, it's at one of the casinos
Yeah.
here in Michigan.
It's happening in
Yep.
November. We're
Yeah.
gonna go to
Mhm.
that one.
Uh-huh.
Forget what that one's called
Hey.
off the top. of
We're
my
going
head,
network.
But yeah, we plan on going
Yeah.
to that. It's gonna be freaking awesome. I bet.
Say Rick Wade's gonna.
That's-
I know he's a medium. He's pretty cool. He's a good. dude.
He's nice. He's really nice. I've met a couple
That's
times.
so crazy. What was the farthest that anybody that you guys had met had traveled?
Oh goodness.
Oh.
I'm sure people from all over the world come to see these
There
things,
were-
though.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody dealt with like travel issues was the thing.
Oh
Like
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Project Fear didn't get there until like what the was
Like
it?
noon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I gotta
Yeah.
go stop my
Buttons is trying to attack a moth outside of the window, and it looks hilarious. That's so cool, though. I mean, like there at one point in my life, I want to be able to go to one of these big cons like that for sure, and just be like, hey, you started from humble beginnings to like how did you not get burnt out? You know, like what was like any advice that you could give to a small channel like us or anything like that, or like if we go to locations, you know, like what's the best like way that you guys get evidence or whatnot. It's like I just love to pick their brains, like because that's just
Oh, yeah.
it's so interesting.
I think that's
That-
been the funnest part about this whole show is all of the every investigator we've had come on has a different style of investigation, and it's
Mhm.
so cool to see. Like, even though we all do things different in our own way, like we're able to get similar evidence in the same places, or like have an experience that's similar, even though the places are different. Like, I don't know. It's just
Like G was a great example, like with one of the last
Paranormal
lives that we
search.
did. Yeah, he said that he would hang cat balls from a string in a doorway. It's like I would never have thought of doing that.
Yeah.
And it is such a great idea because if something walks through there and it manipulates it
Yeah.
and starts to swing, it's like, yeah, okay, it might be a little different than if like you're hoping that somebody's foot might, if that's how it works, if a foot kicks a cat ball or something instead of somebody bending over, it's like, yeah, I would think that I'm aiming for torso here. Like that's probably a better odds.
Right. Yeah. That's why I like meeting other, investigators and, investigating with them because you learn different things from them
Mhm.
and you can bounce ideas off of each other and stuff. And I love networking with other people.
Yeah, Tommy Tombstone is a great example of that. He's taught us a lot about how to organize our investigations a little more because we were
Yeah.
bang, 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 right off the hip. Let's go.
Yeah, we're definitely shoot off the hip. Like, get into a place where we start. I don't know, upstairs.
Instead of being like, hey, we're Whatgoesbump tonight. I'm Trevor. That's right. We're doing this here and we're in this room. It's like that takes 30 seconds, but we just said, fuck that.
Where the ghost at?
But I mean, that comes with the hype about it, where it's like everybody wants to experience this, and it's like I implore you, do it. It's so much fun. You might not catch something right away, and it might take hours on end, but when you experience
Yeah.
it, you'll know, and you'll be
Hooked.
100% different
Hooked
from the night
instantly.
after that.
Especially
Yeah.
if you're into this as much as we are. As soon as you have that experience, you're like, man, when's my next one going to be?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yes.
People say that
yes.
Magic the Gathering is card crack. They say that Dungeons and Dragons is too addicting. It's a satanic cult. And then it's like paranormal investigating is 100% tied right into that crack. Like it is 100%. You cannot get off of it.
Yeah. It's that adrenaline rush.
Yep.
Yeah, you might get a
Yeah.
little burnt out,
Yeah.
but take a little step back. I promise you, you'll go right back to it eventually.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, we usually wrap these up around 2 hours. Next
We
week
could do
we'll
this forever,
yeah,
but-
we could definitely
Yeah.
go forever, I'm sure. But next week we'll have our good friend Eric Freeman Sims from the
Blanking. The blanking.
Unseen Paranormal Podcast. Sorry, I
Nice.
didn't want to get it wrong.
It's a mouthful. That's why.
Yeah, he's freaking awesome. He's from Tennessee, so he'll be joining us next week. And we want to thank you, Sarah and Candi and Sondra, for joining us
Woo
tonight.
woo.
We
Thanks for having
absolutely
You guys are
appreciate
rock
you
Thank
stars.
you.
sharing your
Can
experience
we
and stories with
investigate
us.
soon? Since
Yeah.
we're like
Yeah,
15
let's
minutes
do
away
this.
from-
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
do
I'll work
it.
with Sarah so we can.
Yeah, let's say I
easy
was telling him, I
communicate.
was like, we just need to set something up. We live so close together, it's easy.
Yeah,
Let's do
for
this.
real.
But with that being said, remember, folks, keep your ears and eyes open where it really goes.
Bump in the night. Check out everything in down low. Go subscribe, guys. Love you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.